welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Kris Bryant. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Siriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Kris Bryant. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
How's it going, Chris? I am doing well. Baseball is back. ARR is back. We got like real faces on Baseball Savant on MLB.com. It's back like it never left, except it very much did leave.
It's definitely like I've been just more happy in general life because of in the past 9 days. I mean, most of it probably is that it's spring break and I have no other responsibilities, but it has just brought a ray of light into the life, knowing that our favorite sport is going to be here. It's going to be a full 162 game season. I just recently found out.
Shout out to MLB and their like 6 million deadlines that they just ignored.
Yeah. The MLBPA really just submitted on Brightspace a week late and still got full credit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of worked out. I mean, everything. It definitely sucked while it was going on, but ended up not being the worst thing. And I don't know how long was this CBA agreed upon for? Like 4 or 5 years?
It's 5 years. Every CBA is 5 years.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's not something to negotiate. It's just a set thing.
So yeah, we won't have to worry about it for another 5 years, where it will probably be worse. It'll probably just keep getting worse and worse until we don't have a season. But
I mean, every CBA year from now on is going to become an event because they used to just not matter at all.
Yeah, very true.
Like, I remember when it ended after 2016, no one was talking about it, and then like in like mid-November, Ken Rosenthal was like, "Yeah, so there could be a lockout in a couple weeks."
Yeah, and just didn't end up happening.
No, it did not happen at all.
But yeah, it delayed the season a week, and they're going to be making up all the games. It will not be a 1972 situation where
thank God for that.
Like I think every team played like 154, and so
not a 1995 situation where every team played 144. Right.
Mm-hmm. It'll be 162, and there wasn't any particularly like crazy progress made, but there was some progress made for the players, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly surprised that they got as much as they did. I thought the clubs were just gonna back them into a corner until they had to accept, or else more games would be missed. But I'm just gonna go over some of the things. Significant increases to minimum salaries. That's true. I went up to, I think it's 700,000 this year, and it goes up 10 million every year during this new CBA.
Yeah, that was pretty big.
Yeah, so that's good. Institution of a new $50 million bonus pool that will reward the achievements of players who have not yet received salary arbitration eligibility. That's very good. Significant increases to the payroll thresholds applicable under the competitive balance tax. We mentioned that the collective bargaining tax is now $230 million in 2022, 233, 237, 241, and then 244, which is pretty good. And then also, if just for anyone who goes over, it's 20% the first year, 30% the second year, and 50% every other year after that. So that's how that's gonna work. This one's already not worked out. Amendments to the Rule 4 draft order designed to deter tanking. Yeah, guys, they ended tanking. No teams are doing it anymore. No one is selling off their players. And in years where they have potential.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
over now.
Yeah, definitely no premature fire sales being
I
done.
believe what that actually means is that they're implementing a draft lottery so that you're not guaranteed to get the first pick if you have the worst record.
Right,
But like
right.
even then in baseball, that like the first pick probably matters the least out of all sports.
Yeah,
So I don't think that's enough. I mean, we've already seen it, but I don't think that's enough to like take teams away from tanking because
right.
the
Especially,
first pick is such a like the MLB draft is such a crapshoot.
yeah, especially when like teams will go out of their way like not to get the best guy to
Yep.
avoid like
Hmm.
the like the I guess what's the term? Like the draft bonus or yeah.
Yeah, the bonus pool. Yeah, like in last year's draft, the number one ranked player went fourth because a big market team happened to be in the number 4 slot.
Yeah,
Like he probably could have fell further.
the highest paid guy went 10th and didn't
Yep.
sign.
Yep.
And yeah, that was another big market team, the Mets. So yeah, like that
Um,
I don't
there's
I don't love
there's
the
definitely
lottery.
there's more work to be done if you really want to take out tanking because guess what? It's not like that was never going to work.
Yeah,
Obviously it took us only 2 weeks to figure that out, but like yeah, realistically that was never going to happen. Draft pick incentives for teams who promote top prospects to avoid service time manipulation. Uh, on paper that sounds good. I guess we'll have to wait and see if teams actually use that.
right, right.
Because who knows what kind of draft picks they are. If they're just like compensation first round picks, I think teams will just take the extra year of service time for their top prospects.
Potentially, yeah,
Yeah.
potentially.
Uh, pension benefits will continue as best allowed by the law. That's cool. Best in class medical benefits for players and their families. Uh, was that not in before?
Um, well,
Like maybe
whatever it was not the best.
which is pretty weird. Weird that it
Um,
took this long.
yeah, maybe it was a
Ex-
slight improvement, but
yeah.
the MLBPA is trying to sell that they, did a great job.
Yeah. Expanded postseason, 12 teams. Do you know how this postseason format works, Kris?
I don't. I tried to Google it
If you
while you
if
were
you
saying
win the
it.
division but you're the third seed, you just get screwed.
Um,
So it's 6 teams. It's the 3 division winners and then just the 3 next best teams. Like it's not like 2020 where it's like the best 2 teams in each division. Get
right.
this get the top 6. It's literally just like there could be 4 AL East teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if one team wins the division, the other 3 have the next best records. Um,
Right.
but if you're the 1 or the 2 seed, you get a bye, and then the 3 seed plays the 6 seed in a 3-game wild card series, and the 4 seed plays the 5 seed.
So it's a 3-game series.
The 3-game series.
Yeah. Um,
That's like if you win the division, you're the 3 seed. You just have to play an extra series, and if you're the 1 or 2, you just advance to the American League Division Series.
yeah, so last year there would have been 4 AL East teams.
Yeah, there would have been. There absolutely would have been.
So it would have been it would have been White Sox versus Blue Jays.
And then Red Sox Yankees.
And yeah, Red Sox
Like the 4-5 is essentially just the wild card game as was before,
and then
but it's a 3-game series instead of a 2 or instead of a 1.
and then
And then
yeah,
in the National League, it would have
Braves,
been
Reds.
Braves. No, was it the Reds?
Braves, Reds, Dodgers, Cardinals.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't the Padres. I think the Reds.
No, the Padres finished under 500. I think it was the Reds.
Yeah. Um, that wild card situation was the most hilarious thing.
Yeah, we get a Braves Reds rematch.
Yeah.
Dodgers versus Cardinals was so funny, because the Cardinals were never winning that game.
Yeah.
Anyway, a limit of the number. This is a good one. A limit of the number of times a player can be assigned to the minors in a single season. That's really good because, like, you have guys, especially on the Rays, that are just like that have like 12 stints. I don't know what the limit is. I'll have to find that somewhere. Increase spending pools in the Rule 4 draft. That's good. More salary, more like bonus pool stuff.
Yeah.
Voluntary scouting combine for amateur prospects. Feels weird that they just decided to do this now. A new policy governing commercial arrangements for sports betting companies. Shout out to Pete Rose for real. How funny is that? Like, I get that it's a different time and he did break a rule, but it's like we're not gonna allow Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame or in baseball because of his gambling issues. But hey, this game is sponsored by DraftKings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, enhanced revenue streams through jersey and helmet sponsorship agreements. This one's interesting. Service credit for players who finished first and second in Rookie of the Year voting without accruing a full year of Major League service.
That one was a
So
real wild card for me.
yeah, like, what if, like, okay, hear me out. What if this is a wild scenario, but imagine there's a beat writer for MLB.com that, you know, their bosses are the team, and they're like, hey,
Yeah,
we know that this rookie had a good year, but we want him for longer. So if you want to throw him 7th on your Rookie of the Year ballot,
yeah, yeah. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. It'd be funny that there's like a unanimous Rookie of the Year, and then there's just one guy who doesn't have him on the ballot. Who
yeah,
won the
it's
team.
just like the guy who's like the 7th best. It's like no one else wanted to vote for their guy, so that guy just gets second.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. Let me look at the voting last year. Like, imagine if like Vladimir Gutierrez got second last year because every single NL writer was like, we don't want this. Like the Marlins were like, we want Trevor Rogers for longer. Let's throw someone else in there.
right. Yeah, it's interesting because um, yeah, I'm thinking about like it wouldn't apply for I don't think a Rosarena or Jonathan India,
No,
but like the year Ron
Jonathan
Whitney
India
Jr.
probably
won
would.
it.
I think Jonathan India it would. Randy Rosarena definitely wouldn't. Oh no, he does. Okay, Jonathan India does have a full year of service time, so yeah, it wouldn't matter for
Yeah,
him.
because I knew he played like 150 something games. But
Trevor
yeah, like
Rogers, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't matter for either. Luis Garcia.
like
Okay, yeah, this
Jordan.
would not have actually mattered for anyone last year. Like if Wander Franco got, I mean, not that it matters for him because he has a contract now, but like if he got first or second, like it would have counted for him because he
Yeah,
did not
or
accumulate a full year of service time. Same with Adolis Garcia.
yeah, like and going back to 2019, like Jordan, he only played 80 something games. He would have gotten a full year of service time.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so that would have been cool for him. I
Now
like that.
this is probably not.
I like that
Yeah.
little wrinkle by the Players Association there.
Oh yeah, and then last minute, the MLB, like in their last offer, they're like, okay, all this is everything you want. Also, you got to drop these 2 lawsuits against us.
What were the lawsuits?
It was one of them was from I think it was 2020, where it was like something to do with the pandemic and their policies, and the other
Uh-huh.
one was against the Rays, Athletics, Marlins, and Pirates for not spending money. Yeah. Yep. So that
Funny.
was that.
Yeah.
That was like I didn't think the last one was going to pass because of that, and I honestly wouldn't have blamed the players because that is a lot of money that they're dealing with there.
Right,
Like
right.
that's 2 entire lawsuits against a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Like that is a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I think I think the thing I found the thing that I think the fan is going to see the most change with is like I guess the playoff format.
Mm.
Um, I
The
didn't
big
know
changes
like
to the fan come next year.
yeah. And that is the new playoff format being installed this year, 2023.
This year.
This year. So
Yeah.
um I think that's going to be interesting. I think with it being a 3-game series, the I don't think it's going to be a major like burden for the teams with the bye having that much of a
No.
rest time.
No.
Um, or the do you know if the
It'll
3-game
maybe be like
series are going to be all at the like all at one ballpark?
I that's my guess. I don't know for sure, but I would assume that's what it means because it'd be weird if it was like I don't think it maybe it's like first game at the visiting team and then the second 2 at the home team.
Yeah,
Maybe that
like
makes the most sense, but it
you
definitely can't be
couldn't do
1-1-1.
you couldn't do a 1-1-1,
I think it's really just 3 at one place.
and the 1-2 would kind of be unfair.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how they did it in 2020. Not that home field advantage really mattered that much, but
Yeah.
um, that's what they
But
did.
that was also yeah. Yeah, that's probably what they're gonna do.
Yeah, where they have all three at the home ballpark. I think it would be I think it would be pretty
I think
fair.
that's the best way to do it. Like it
Um,
sucks that, the visiting teams won't get uh like a chance to play in their ballpark, but you gotta win. Like that's the whole point. So
yeah, and so the season should end on, well, this year it's probably going to end on what, like a Wednesday or something. So
yeah.
then you could do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the eight the final eight starts
hmm
in on what, a Tuesday, because you want to give those teams a day off. So I guess you give the teams with the bye like 6 days off, which is like a
Yeah.
bit of an extended all-star break. It's not the worst thing, but I feel like teams in the format it used to be, some of the teams would go till like Sunday to Friday, or Monday through, or
Sunday through Friday, yeah.
Sunday through Friday. So it's not a crazy difference. As
Yeah.
long as they're not going for like more than a week, I think that should be okay.
Yeah. I think it'd be like a week. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see how that goes when it gets there. But yeah, so the end of baseball, big deal, and also a big deal. The world of free agency was able to come back, and man, it has stormed back with a
It took a
vengeance.
while. I mean, when the lockout ended, it was like it starts tonight and everything's just gonna start going. I was like, oh my god, there was definitely so much tampering. There was not.
Yeah,
I really
nothing,
don't think. I think no one actually broke the rules. Crazy.
yeah, nothing whatsoever.
Um,
Um,
Still waiting on a couple signings. Carlos Correa, um, Nick Castellanos.
right. Yeah, those are the two big ones for sure. I feel like
And
the
then Michael Conforto. Yeah.
pitching market is pretty taken care of.
Yeah.
Um, but the biggest the biggest deal, um, you could argue that has transpired was the Matt Olson trade to
Yeah.
Atlanta, for two reasons. One, because Matt Olson going to a team like the Braves is a big deal, and secondly, that was the first sign that Freddie Freeman was not going to be back with the Braves, which was something a lot of people, you know, not the not fun for a lot of people, and I totally understand that. Freddie Freeman definitely seemed like he was a brave for life kind of guy, but it didn't work out for both sides. And Matt Olson ended up getting traded and then immediately extended for 8 years, 168 million. And the A's did get quite a haul
Yeah.
for that for that for that deal. And there was Christian Pache and some other guys. I
Yeah.
don't have it all pulled up.
The other one, there was two like top 100 prospects. It was Christian Pache and then Shea Langeliers. I think that's how to pronounce it. He's a catcher. He's like mid top 100, so he's like 50, 60, something like that. He's very good.
Yeah,
I don't know, and also who was the guy? Ryan Kusick, I think his name was.
yeah,
He's
I'm
like
looking at
super
it right
young and
now.
he's not old enough to be top 100 yet, probably. But his numbers are ridiculous. Uh, yeah, he played in the minors last year for the Augusta Braves, which is, or no, what was it? Yeah, okay, for Augusta, and it was 16 and a third innings pitched, so not that much, but 34 strikeouts and 4 walks.
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice
That is
ratio there.
beautiful.
Exactly. And yeah, and then the two main ones besides him. Yeah, Christian Pache.
Pache. It's Pache.
He's been in like the MLB top 100 like forever. And then Shea Langoliers, also, yeah, mid top 100s or whatever. Yeah, same with, yeah, or no, am I looking at that correctly? Yeah, Langoliers was the Braves number 2 prospect per both Pipeline and Baseball America.
Yes.
Number 69 and number 54 nationally.
I mean, like trading Pache, like the Braves still have, they still have a solid outfield. They got Eddie Rosario back. They got Adam Duvall back, unless he was just not a free agent. No, it looks like he wasn't. And then they got Marcelo Zuna coming back.
Yeah.
And then they have Alex Dickerson listed as their DH.
And then of course, is Acuna expected to be back for opening day?
He is not in the lineup as of right now, but I believe he is. But I think they're gonna have him DH, and they're gonna have him I think Brian Snitker said the other day. I think the idea was by the end of April to put him in one of the corner outfield spots, and then center field by May or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense because
he probably will be. Yeah, that completes the lineup a lot more for sure.
Because he tore his ACL in early July, so opening day would make that about 9 months, which is that makes sense for recovery time, but not like a full recovery time. But yeah, so Matt Olson, I mean, it's funny because Matt Olson probably brings to that lineup a lot what Freddie Freeman brings to the lineup, especially OPS wise. I know
it's a perfect replacement.
Yeah, for sure. I think the only difference would be that Freddie Freeman's probably more of a doubles guy. Matt Olson is more of a home runs guy. But they usually are around the same OPS. Yeah, Freeman was a little older. I think he just finished his age 31 season.
Yes, and Olson just finished his. He's going into his age 28 season.
Yeah, he's going into his age 28 season. I think the Braves made the best out of that first base situation. It was the best first baseman they could have got besides Freddie Freeman. And you could argue there's probably a solid argument that Olson was a better option than Freddie Freeman given age and the fact
given the fact that they're going to have him for 8 years now.
Yeah, 8 years. They're going to have him for less average annual value than they would have had him for Freddie Freeman.
A younger guy. Less average. How do the Braves keep doing this? Seriously, how? They're paying, I think it was $21 million a year at average annual value for Matt Olson. He is worth so much more. How did they keep doing this?
Yeah, I don't know.
They just keep getting ridiculously cheap contracts for their players. They also still have Charlie Morton, I just realized. That's cool. But
they extended
Ozzie Albies 7 years, $35 million. What is that? Ronald Acuna Jr. 8 years, $100 million. Also, what is that?
Yeah. And yeah, Matt Olson for reference, or I have to do the Fangraphs adjustment here because I know Baseball Reference WAR, he has 5.1 WAR per 650 plate appearances. With Matt Olson, I have to do some quick math with Fangraphs because I know that wins above replacements are a little different. Divided by 650, 2.25, 9.7 divided by 2.25, about 4.3 WAR per 650 plate appearances. But a guy who I think has a upper 800s OPS in a pitcher ballpark since the start of 2019, and is probably getting better over time. One thing I did notice on his Savant page was his whiff rate and strikeout rate went down tremendously this past year. He turned into one of the better like guys in terms of getting contact, which is pretty fascinating for a power hitting first baseman. I'm gonna look at that once again. Matt Olson, if it'll allow me. In 2021, his Savant can just take the slowest time sometimes.
Just a quick update. Apparently the Phillies are making a pretty big push for Nick Castellanos right now.
Oh wow. They're gonna have 2 DHs?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. Matt Olson was in the 76th percentile for strikeout rate last year and in the 92nd percentile for walk rate, and his whiff rate overall from 2020 to 2021, his whiff rate went from 34.8% to 23% overall, and his 23% mark was his lowest career whiff rate by a lot. So he's made his improvements for sure. He's only getting better. Freddie Freeman, I feel like he's going to be kind of the same offensive producer for a little bit, and then as age comes along, he'll probably drop off. Matt Olson, like with Freddie Freeman, we've probably seen like maybe his best season. Matt Olson, I'm not sure we've seen. I don't think we've seen his best season yet.
Absolutely. Especially in a new place. Like I feel like that's going to be a more favorable ballpark for him as a left-handed power hitter. Like there's a big wall out there. He can hit a lot of doubles. He can hit a lot of home runs. Like I feel like that'll be more favorable than Oakland.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Not that weird right center field wall in at the Oakland Coliseum. But that is not to take away from Freddie Freeman, because Freddie Freeman is about to be a part of one of the best lineups in baseball.
Yeah, like ever.
Yeah, ever. Like certainly best lineup in baseball currently. And man, does it help to add a DH to that mix now? But man, it's if you just go around the diamond, you got Will Smith behind the plate, Freddie Freeman at first base, Max Muncy at second base, Trey Turner at short, Justin Turner at third, and then in the outfield, you have Mookie Betts, you have Cody Bellinger, AJ Pollock, Chris Taylor, and then one of those guys is going to be a DH for you.
They have Muncy DHing and Taylor playing second.
Okay, yeah.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot more sense.
That is a joke. Like Justin Turner is the weakest link in the infield.
Yeah, like arguably, what the heck?
I guess if Chris Taylor's playing second, then maybe he is. Like they have Turner hitting fourth. Yeah, like AJ Pollock. They have Cody Bellinger hitting eighth in this lineup right now on Fangraphs.
Yeah, AJ Pollock had like an upper 800s OPS last year.
Cody Bellinger, like I know that he had a 45 weight OPS plus last year.
But yeah, like 3 years removed from an MVP.
Yeah.
Mookie Betts, like another guy who had I guess for him a down year, but like 2020 MVP runner-up, 2018 MVP. Trey Turner, you could argue
best shortstop, like arguably the best shortstop in baseball, if not the second best
shortstop in baseball. Max Muncy had an 895 OPS last year. I'm looking at the lineup now. Yeah. Will Smith, you could argue best catcher,
best offensive catcher in baseball.
Best offensive catcher in baseball. And
I think that's an easy case to make.
Overall catcher, like top 2 or 3. And then Freddie Freeman, probably top 3 first baseman in baseball. Yeah. I'm trying to think of all the best guys. Like first baseman is kind of weird because some guys have just like lately emerged, like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in that position. Yeah, Freddie Freeman has consistently been a top first baseman in baseball, and I would say would will continue to be that way. Yeah, it's quite the lineup. It's before like during the lockout, I was thinking, the Dodgers had a little too much inactivity, like something we weren't used to. And they went out and pulled a move where I mean, makes up completely for not being able to get Corey Seager. Not that that was a mistake or anything, because they already had Trey Turner, but it fills an offensive gap there. And yeah, they're in a good spot. And they also re-signed Clayton Kershaw finally.
Yeah.
So they were able to fill that.
The idea of him being anywhere else is just wrong, even if it's if it's Texas where he grew up, like it just isn't right.
Yeah, especially like he's not like Freddie Freeman where he was going to go out and get $160 million deal somewhere. It would make sense financially.
You could probably argue he didn't get enough. Like even if he's past his prime, he's still a very good pitcher.
What did Kershaw get? I only saw 1 year deal for him.
1 year, 17 mil, like basically like a little less than the qualifying offer.
Right. Yeah. It's mostly a matter of health with him. Like you're going to get quality innings out of him. It's just a matter of like if he's going to make 25 starts. But yeah. So yeah, Dodgers made it's an annual thing. Like they make their huge move of the off season. Eventually they're going to do it. They got, last year they got the 2020 NL Cy Young winner. The time before that they got Mookie Betts. And even in the middle of the season, like they get Max Scherzer and Trey Turner last year, and Trey Turner is looking like the headliner of that trade now, given, I don't know if they're going to try to extend him in spring training. I
think, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if
it's so funny that this is a team that lost Corey Seager, and we're still talking about how they're like one of the best teams ever.
Yeah. Yeah, they lost a guy who,
they lost a guy with a career 130 OPS plus.
Yeah,
shortstop nonetheless.
Yeah, he OPS in the 900s, NLCS and World Series MVP 2 years ago. And yeah, they're completely fine and potentially better than ever. So yeah, works out pretty well for them. NL West favorites still.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't win it last year with 106 wins. But yeah, so that was that's quite something there. And I guess, I don't know, a briefer deal to go over, something I particularly like to see from the NL West division champions from last year, because I actually did point out, like, we actually had a conversation about it on the podcast of like the Giants not keeping Gausman or getting anybody else in the starting pitcher market. Well, they did get a starting pitcher with Carlos Rodon.
They did.
Only 2 years, but that's mostly probably because
of the injuries.
And potential, like, maybe they thought he might have been a fluke last year, because that was his only, like, Cy Young quality year. But
not even just Cy Young quality, like that was really just his only like strong year in general.
Right.
I don't think anyone saw it. Like if he was half that good in 2021, given the expectations coming into that season, people would have been like, yeah, like Carlos Rodon did well this year. Like his best ERA plus going into last season was 104. And that was his rookie year in 139 innings pitched.
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah, he made his mark. 2.37 ERA, like over 12 strikeouts per 9. And yeah, he's going into that Giants rotation. He's probably going to be number 2 if they put Webb at number 1.
Oh, they're putting Webb at number 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have DeSclafani, Wood, Cobb. They have a strong rotation.
Yeah, I really like the move. I don't think Rodon's necessarily going to do as well as he did last year, especially with National League having DHs last year. Rodon was able to thrive with a weak division a bit, but I imagine it wasn't a crazy difference in how he pitched versus other teams. But yeah, I really like the move. I think Rodon has made a transformation where it's going to be. I don't think last year was necessarily a fluke. Like striking out 12 guys per nine that's not fluky by any stretch. I think he's gonna succeed in that Giants rotation and, give them a shot, help give them a shot to potentially repeat as NL West division champions. I think there's still a chance for that, even with the Dodgers being as talented as they are.
I mean, Rodon had a 1.83 ERA plus last year, a 2.37 ERA. If you can consider a down year compared to that, like a 1.30 ERA plus, that's still a very good season, especially in likely a larger sample because of the injuries last year. Especially if he keeps up those strikeout numbers, I'd argue he's going to a more favorable pitcher ballpark.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, and
yeah.
And I feel like the whatever analytics department the Giants have, that's going to benefit him as well, because they were able to change the course. They were able to change the course of some guys' careers. Most notably, Kevin Gausman starting in 2020, and then Anthony DeSclafani. Just
Alex Wood, yeah,
crazy turnaround. Yeah, Alex Wood.
Even you could argue Logan Webb.
Yeah, Logan Webb.
I know that he was never
really top. Yeah.
I don't think he was top 100, but he was a good, he was a top prospect in the system at least.
Yeah.
But I remember he was I didn't say it on the podcast, but I wrote that he was my player to watch in the Giants last year.
Yeah,
because he did have some sort of expectation.
He did have some sort of expectations, but no one was predicting, completely undressing the Dodgers lineup twice in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not
yeah.
That wasn't in the cards for
what a wild series that was for him.
Yeah, unreal.
14 2/3 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 17 strikeouts, 1 walk. That's so wild.
Against the lineup we just mentioned, I mean minus Freeman, but plus
Corey Seager. Yeah.
Yeah. Also I guess minus Muncy, he got injured.
Also plus a pitcher spot.
True.
Still.
But still unreal lineup, matter. But unreal pitching. Yeah, so yeah, biggest deals were Matt Olson and Freddie Freeman. So
are we ready to get into this now?
Yeah,
we will a little more.
We'll talk about, I don't know, there were some I guess mid-level signings that were interesting that maybe we won't get into today, but I think maybe a little bit of acknowledgement, the Kyle Schwarber gets 4 years, $79 million.
Yeah.
With the Phillies. I whatever team Schwarber was going to go to, I was going to like that deal.
Pretty
I don't
much.
know.
Especially with the universal DH in now, that's going to favor him a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, if
now they're going for Nick Castellanos.
If the audience is unaware, we're both Red Sox fans. It felt so much more comfortable having Schwarber in the lineup for some reason.
He literally changed the entire dynamic of the offense.
Yeah, and
the Red Sox had one of the worst walk rates in the league before Schwarber, and the second he debuted, from that point to the end of the season, they were top 5.
Right.
I don't know what he did, but he had first of all, everyone remembers his 2021 season as that home run streak he went on with the Nationals. I think he had 12 home runs in 10 games, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
He had a higher OPS in Boston.
Yeah. And he had, there was a stretch of 20 games where he had a 500 OBP or something like that.
Yeah, he had a 145 OPS with the Nationals and a 154 with the Red Sox. That's off the top of my head.
OPS plus. He's gonna make that lineup better. He's a guy who's gonna walk. He's gonna hit the ball hard. And I feel like, he's a guy in his late 20s right now, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like he's just gonna make a very good impact. And I don't blame the Red Sox for not making more effort towards him, because it's hard to have Kyle Schwarber and JD Martinez on the same roster, given they're both defensive liabilities. They're both best fit in the DH role. And JD, I know his contract ends next year, but JD is probably going to be around with the Red Sox after that. And then I don't think Kyle Schwarber was going to be a thing at first base, first of all, because that's not his natural position. And second of all, you got Tristan Casas coming up. He might be coming up eventually this year.
He's coming up this year. It's going to be interesting. This is a conversation for another day, but Bobby Dahlbeck at first, Tristan Casas coming up.
Yeah, I do forget how good Dahlbeck was in the final 2 months of the year. Yes. Also, he could, that could be a platoon situation potentially. But I hate to see him leave, but I understand. I understand why he is on another team. I just think of that grand slam, and
I think of that grand slam. I think of what he did to the offense. And I'm gonna miss that a lot.
Think of like one of his hotter stretches was when the Red Sox were wearing the yellow jerseys.
He hit so many home runs.
I feel like he was the face of that. I should actually look that up. It was like a 7-game winning streak or something.
Yeah.
Like
in the yellow jerseys.
Kyle Schwarber. I just wanted to mention him because I'm gonna miss him for sure. It's like it's like, I don't know to compare it to. The same way like the Dodgers fans are gonna miss Max Scherzer.
Yep,
I think you understand why he left. Not that Schwarber is on that level, but everyone knows what I mean here. Schwarber, I'm looking for September. That was weird. That was a weird streak because I wasn't inspired to watch the Red Sox because I couldn't get them on my television because of lack of cable. Was it September or was it 7?
It was yeah. Well, I remember it was when they played the Mets. So whatever winning streak that was.
He played 5 games during the stretch and had a 1646 OPS.
Yeah, that's not bad.
In 19 plate appearances. So yeah, he was doing well. 9 RBI in 5 games. Yeah, that works out. And yeah, so the Phillies are getting a quality addition to their lineup, which was already a pretty good lineup, a good complement to Bryce Harper, the defending MVP. Who else?
JT Realmuto.
Yeah, JT Realmuto. But yeah, and then what other? Oh yeah, I guess we should address, just because of the amount of money, amount of years, and the significance of the player, Kris Bryant.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Kris Bryant. I'm just gonna call this out. There is a double standard when small market teams spend a large amount of money on one player when they're not projected to be good. And you're seeing it right now with Kris Bryant. Like, I don't think anyone's arguing now that the Rockies have Kris Bryant that they're a playoff team. I certainly am not arguing that. But like, let's not forget, like last year, the conversation we were having with the Rockies was like, they don't spend enough money. Like they just, like the one guy they've ever spent on, they just traded. They gave away $51 million to trade him. Like they haven't signed a major league free agent in 2 years. Like this organization sucks. And now they sign a player and it's like, why would they sign this guy? This organization sucks.
Right.
I'm just not going to stand for that. Like I do think 7 years to a 30-year-old. First of all, the deal is 7 years, $182 million for Kris Bryant. I like 7 years for a 30-year-old. It's risky, no doubt. Like, but I'd rather have this conversation than the why don't the Rockies ever spend conversation any day.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
That does remind me, Trevor Story's still on the market,
Yep.
right? Unless I missed
No,
it.
you did not miss that. I promise you.
Okay. But yeah, Rockies projected estimated payroll without options. Does this include Kris Bryant? No, it doesn't yet
Oh no, it does not. Wait.
on Baseball
Who
Reference.
cares? They're not close to 230 million. I can promise you that.
Yeah, they're they're still with the Kris
projected
Bryant
2022
deal.
payroll with Kris Bryant is $141 million.
They're
They still have
still
so much cap space.
you
Like, this
know,
is not.
about 90 million away from
Not only that, but this deal is so much better with a universal DH. Like so many people are criticizing the Rockies for putting so many people are criticizing the Rockies because they are putting him in left field. Like, please educate yourselves. Kris Bryant has played left field for years.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he played for Joe Madden. Of course he played left field. He
Yeah.
probably played catcher.
Right, right. Yeah, maybe got a few innings off the bump. Yeah, I should look at his metrics or his outs above average at these positions. But yeah, he played over like 50 games in the outfield last year. He played some time in the outfield before then as well. Yeah,
He played, I think, 600 innings in the outfield last year alone. Like, not just left field, just all places. I know that, like, the Colorado outfield is very different because it's a huge field, and he's going to have a
right.
lot more range, especially at an older age. He's not that quick. Like, yeah, it's going to be tough, but, like, logistically putting him at third doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, for reference, like Ryan McMahon had, I think, 12 outs above average just at third base, and he did it in like 70 games, which, or I should double check. I should double check
Just while you're checking, Kris Bryant played 309 and 2/3 innings in left field last year for both the Cubs and the Giants. 386 innings at first base or third base. So sure, he played more at third, but like left field is not foreign to him. He has done it a lot. In fact, he has played 941 and 2/3 innings in left field through his entire career.
Yeah, that's
So I don't want to hear about how the Rockies are just throwing him in there just because.
Yeah, no. It's not a Hanley Ramirez in left field situation.
Not at all.
Shout out to the 2015 Red Sox.
Yeah, it's not a Fernando Tatis Jr. in the outfield situation. Like, this is a guy who has played there before. He's more than familiar with it.
Yeah, Ryan McMahon had 10 outs above average at third base last season. I'm not sure how many games he did it in, but he did also have time at second base. So yeah, like 10 outs above average for reference is, pretty elite.
Like, very elite. That's like at least top 10 percentile.
Yeah, for sure. Or yeah,
Let me check what it actually was.
Outs above average, 97th percentile in all of
97th. Yeah, you don't take that guy away from third base. I don't care.
Yeah, not gonna do it.
Kris Bryant, on the other hand.
Oh yeah, Kris Bryant. Yeah, well, he had negative 10 overall.
Yeah, wow.
Last year.
First percentile outs above average. Let me look at defensive runs saved.
Yeah,
because that you can at least look at that one. You can look at by position.
Yeah, not all that was at third base either.
Yeah,
I think he does play a little bit better at third base than he does in the outfield.
Still, you keep Ryan McMahon there.
And yeah, with the Rockies deal with the Rockies doling out 182 million to him, I only see it being a financial problem if maybe like 5 years from now they're really competing and maybe they're trying to still stay under the luxury tax, and maybe Kris Bryant's contract is in the way of maybe getting another big free agent. But honestly, I don't really see that happening.
I don't see it happening either. Kris Bryant, okay, it's not that much different. He had -1 defensive run saved in left field and -2 at third base. He's basically the same defender wherever you put him. So you might as well keep the elite guy there.
Yeah, and shout out to defensive runs saved and
Mark Simon.
ARR alum guest alum Mark Simon for helping developing that stat.
For sure.
And yeah, like
I guess the one issue is Raimel Tapia does have 7 defensive runs saved in left field. But I don't think Kris Bryant means he's not playing the outfield at all.
Right, like he'll play right
He'll play center, he'll play right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Rockies do have a bit of a logjam in the outfield though, because they have Charlie Blackmon's contract. So like he's kind of obligated to be out there. I think maybe they just put Charlie Blackmon at DH.
Right.
The fact that there's a DH is so great now. I'm so happy about it.
Oh my god.
They have Connor Joe, who I think is very underrated. Yeah, it looks like Fangraphs does in fact have him. They have Sam Hilliard in center.
Yeah, because Charlie Blackmon is not contributing defensively at all.
No, I think, and I think he would be better just focusing on hitting.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, he doesn't really have to prove much now. Like, he's gotten his contract. He's 30. He's going into his age 36 season. Actually, age 35. Sorry, but like, let him focus on hitting. Like, they have plenty of defensive outfielders. They have Kris Bryant now. They have Ryan McMahon at third, so you don't want to take him out of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, don't let anyone fool you. Kris Bryant in left field is probably the best move they could have made with him.
Yeah, for sure. It was unlike a lot of the Rockies' decisions, a smart move for sure.
Yeah. I will keep saying that 7 years for a 30-year-old is risky, and this might be looked at as a bad contract in 4 years. But I'd rather be having that conversation than this team never spends.
Yeah, and like
it's a much better conversation to be having.
Yeah, I mean it does still, it does look a little ironic after, giving the Cardinals $50 million to
it absolutely does.
To house Nolan Arenado.
But like, you know what? Like, whatever that happened, there's a new CBA. Dick Monfort was literally one of like the executive board members for MLB's like for their team. So like he was trying to bring the collective. I would imagine he was one of the people most vocal about keeping the collective bargaining tax down. And it's like, It's like, what does it matter to you? You're not going halfway there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, seriously, if you're gonna have a payroll of like 150 million, why do you care if the collective bargaining tax is 230 million and not 225 million?
Yeah, he's probably just like, I only spend, like 130 million, so no one else should be able to spend that much. I spend any higher than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was probably trying to get the collective bargaining tax to like 150 million. It's like drop it down $60-70 million. Yeah. But yeah, it's a thing where like, the Rockies aren't going anywhere near that luxury tax. So it's like they made
like, how bad does it really hurt them if they have Kris Bryant, if that's where they're gonna go?
Yeah.
Like Kris Bryant he's won a ring, he's won an MVP. He's got nothing else to prove. Like he got his money. He's gonna hit dingers for the rest of his career in Colorado.
Yeah.
And the Rockies are not gonna come that close to bankruptcy.
Right. And down the line, if the Rockies do end up developing a good team 4 or 5 years from now you have that veteran leadership, World Series experience there with Kris Bryant. So you will enjoy having that around a little bit, and it's not gonna like obviously not getting you anywhere near the luxury tax.
I'm also very interested to see like how what the course effect is on Kris Bryant. Like does he start really struggling on the road? And like, because I feel like if Kris Bryant has like very lopsided home road splits where he's just so much better at home, like that takes away a lot of legitimacy in using that argument for Rockies players going other places, because we've already seen for 6.5 years what Kris Bryant can do in places that are not Colorado.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's gonna be a fun, like, not like the fact that we have a really good example for the first time ever, like an MVP caliber player signing a big free agent contract with Colorado. Like, how many other examples of that can you really name in recent history?
Yeah, no one.
Larry Walker's the only one that comes to mind.
Yeah, Larry Walker, like, you know,
That
Ian
was
Desmond wasn't.
20 years
Ian
ago.
Desmond wasn't really a thing.
Ian Desmond doesn't count.
Yeah, that doesn't count. It was supposed to count, but that wasn't really.
No,
That wasn't.
he was bad in Colorado too.
Yeah.
Like, he was bad at Coors Field. He was bad on the road.
That was a weird.
Like,
That was a weird
it'll be
ordeal.
fun. It'll be fun to have that standard now.
Right. Exactly. Like, yeah. We haven't seen like, established guy before Colorado, then established guy after Colorado.
Exactly.
Seeing what happened. I think we're getting a good observation with that, with like a guy going from Colorado to away from Colorado for a good amount of time with
And
Nolan Arenado.
and then Trevor Story.
And yeah, Trevor
Eventually.
Story, wherever he may land.
Yeah.
Like
we didn't like we were. I feel like we were gonna get it with Troy Tulowitzki, but injuries kind of happened, and also he just was never the same after Colorado, unfortunately. So maybe Coors did have an effect on him. I think like a perfect example of like Coors making people better is CJ Crone.
Yep.
Yeah, like that guy had a career year offensively. Like there's like he hit free agency. There was no reason for him to sign anywhere else.
Right.
Like he is going to, unless he wants to get his money, like why would you go anywhere else? You had a 130 OPS plus last year, and that's with the Rockies. That's a 905 OPS.
Yeah, like that's park adjusted also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are the significant deals to talk about. Maybe we'll get into the Matt Chapman trade once we do the AL East preview. Whenever that may be.
Yeah.
Or the
A's.
the AL West preview.
I guess the two, because we did talk about one of the guys the A's traded.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of what the Twins and Reds did during our Central preview, because we are doing a preview of, like we do every year, we do players to watch for every single team, and we focus on a particular division or two divisions, especially this year. We're going to be doing two divisions per episode, where we are going to be, we have players to watch. We'll also, we briefly talk about like their additions and subtractions of the last year, and we each have a question for the other host of the program.
Yes, that is
about
right.
Regarding the team. So for this episode, we are doing the AL Central and NL Central, pointing out a player to watch, and having a question for each team. And we're doing the Central today because usually we go from most significant or least significant divisions to most significant. I can't think of anything less significant than the AL Central. I guess the Tigers can make a run at the title, but I'm pretty sure the White Sox.
I don't think they can. I think the most interesting thing about the AL Central is that 2 through 5 could be anyone.
The AL Central?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the White Sox should be a lock for that division. You could really make a case for any other team finish second, third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah, and outside of the Tigers,
it might be the hardest division to predict.
Right. Oh, yeah, like
just because of that.
It's the easiest to predict first, but it's the hardest to do full standings.
Yep.
Like the Tigers made some improvements, but the Guardians, Royals, and Twins are kind of like in a weird position.
Yes.
For all those teams. And then I think next week we'll do
the West and the East,
and then we'll do the East. Because the East will always find ways to be interesting no matter what. I guess we will start off with the AL Central at the bottom with the Minnesota Twins, who went 73-89 last year and finished last in the American League Central. They lost.
Probably the most disappointing team in the entire major leagues.
Yep. We both had them in the playoffs last year, before the season started.
I had them winning the division. Yes.
You had them winning the division, and it made a lot of sense because they were two-time reigning division champions, and they hadn't really lost anyone significant up to that point. And then last year disappointing. At the trade deadline, they traded Jose Barrios, who was their best pitcher, but also in the offseason they did extend Byron Buxton,
which is good, and they got him up for a relatively team-friendly deal if he stays healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
Also worth noting, Kenta Maeda is going to be out for this entire season. He is still recovering from Tommy John surgery that he got in August or September of last year, September 1st. So that's unfortunate. Because he was a runner-up for Cy Young in 2020.
Yeah, I think he was runner-up.
Yeah, he was excellent that year.
But yeah,
do you want to start?
Actually,
no. Let's just go over the whole team first.
They also lost. Just going over additions and subtractions. They lost Josh Donaldson, Mitch Garver, Michael Pineda, Andrelton Simmons, John Gant, Alex Calme, Williams Astudillo, and they added Sonny Gray, Gary Sanchez, Gio Urshela, and Dylan Bundy. I guess we should talk a little bit about some of the trades that they did.
I would like to talk about their farm system real quick. They had one of the biggest, I guess, selling team friendly trades last year with Jose Barrios. They got Austin Martin and Simeon Woods Richardson from the Blue Jays, who are both excellent, both very young too. So we probably won't be seeing either of them this year. They got a guy named Joe Ryan in the trade for Nelson Cruz, who is on the MLB roster this year. That has a lot of expectations. He's a top 100 prospect. They have a guy named Jose Miranda, who is Fangraphs has him on the 26-man roster to begin the season. Last year, between AA and AAA, he had 591 plate appearances. He slashed 344, 401, 572 for a 973 OPS. He is a utility infielder. So that's a guy to look out for this year for sure. That's all I got on this team.
They made some additions and subtractions in the past week. They traded, Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, which I didn't put as an addition or a subtraction because in the span of 2 days.
If you wanna go to Fangraphs, you just use the offseason tracker. It can tell you.
Yeah. So they traded Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa for Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela. It was kind of interesting because it's not necessarily like a buy or sell move, but they got rid of some payroll, and maybe they'll extend one of Urshela or Sanchez.
I never knew how homegrown this team is. Urshela and Sanchez are the only people in the projected opening day lineup that were not homegrown by the Twins.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's Buxton, Arias, Polanco, Sano, Kepler, Kirilloff, Larnick. All of them. And then their entire bench is homegrown. Ryan Jeffers, Jose Miranda, Nick Gordon, Brent Rooker.
Right.
This team it's interesting because I think everyone agrees, regardless of how this team is going to perform, they're going to have one of the best lineups. 7 out of those 9 guys, they develop themselves.
Yeah, very interesting.
If there's ever a day where they sit Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela, their entire lineup is probably going to be homegrown as well.
Right. I think with that Donaldson, Kiner-Falefa, Urshela, and Sanchez trade, they kind of improved a little bit in some aspects. Gio Urshela, he had a down year last year, but we know his potential from 2019 and 2020. and he's heading into his age 30 season. Gary Sanchez, he's heading into his age 29 season, and he got scrutinized, a good amount, but I think that was a lot of that, some of it was a little
it was New York.
exaggerated.
It was New York. Like if he had the same exact career on a team like the Twins, he would be like a top 5 catcher in the league, and the Yankees would have been begging to trade for him.
Yeah, career OPS plus of 113 so far
Yeah.
in as a catcher, and his defense can be weird. Like, he does have
He has
those
a great arm. He just can't catch.
Yeah, like as a backstop, not the best, but he'll throw.
Yeah,
he
but you
throws
do not
runners
want to
out.
steal on him.
Yeah, you're not going to do that. But and even like working with pitchers, he can be weird. But
Yes.
offensively, we know his potential for sure, and might just be better off out of the spotlight. And yeah, that could be a potential. Another potential, just awesome right-handed power hitter that the Twins have.
Yeah.
And then also, added Sonny Gray, who you actually had a very good stat that you mentioned to me about Sonny Gray
Yes.
over
I am
text.
so happy he is leaving Cincinnati.
Yeah.
He had let me look at the exact numbers, but his Cincinnati was a very offense heavy ballpark last year. Which is just, it's not great for Reds pitchers, and Sonny Gray was very much affected by that. He had a 3.44 ERA away from Great American Ballpark and a 4.89 ERA in Great American Ballpark. Same, like roughly the same strikeout walk numbers. Everything, like just general production was way up. Also significantly more home runs allowed at home.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for his I'm trying to look for his home run to fly ball ratio
Okay.
at Great American and away from Great American.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth noting that like Sonny Gray don't be surprised if he has his best season possibly since the Oakland days. Not the Oakland A's, the Oakland days. I'm trying to think. Like he's still, like ERA plus was very skewed for Reds pitchers because of that. Like he had in 2019 he had a 162 ERA plus with a 287 ERA and 175 innings. Like still very good. I don't like he's gonna be amazing.
His home run to fly ball ratio at Great American Ballpark last year was 20.6%.
What?
And his home run to fly ball ratio away from Great American Ballpark was 11.5%.
Oh my
Major
God.
difference. Yeah.
And he's going to a pitcher friendly ballpark too.
Yeah, like
not only is he getting away from Cincinnati, he's going somewhere where like a pitcher would want to be.
Yeah, deep left field, deep left center.
Oh my God.
Kind of deep right field with a bigger wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so could be a thing where we're seeing a lot of Sonny Gray success. Even if the Twins maybe not so much. Although I have no idea where the Twins are gonna land.
I don't either, but do you want to talk about your player to watch?
Yeah, my player to watch, you kind of mentioned him a little bit last year. So some of these guys that I'm gonna pick for player to watch are just kind of funny. And this guy is one of them. Alex Kirilloff. He had a 722 OPS in 59 games last year, which that's not gonna pop out to anyone. He was extremely, extremely unlucky. He had a 307 WOBA and a 367 expected WOBA, and his difference in WOBA and expected WOBA was the unluckiest of the 328 batters with 150 plus batted balls in 2021. So he was unluckiest out of 328. His barrel rate was in the top 15% of those batters, while his strikeout rate was below league average. So, a lot of the time, a guy with a high barrel rate also just generally has a high strikeout rate. That's not the case here. Below average strikeout rate and one of the best barrel rates in baseball. So it's a thing where if he pops off this year, I'm not going to be that surprised. But, if you just look at the non-expected statistics, you might be a little surprised that he comes out this year. Also a guy who, he was a first round draft pick back in, I think, 2017 or 2016. And he's probably gonna, I wouldn't be surprised if he popped off this year.
Okay. Remember in past years when we would keep track of how long it took us to have the same player?
Okay, yeah, I saw your.
It's the first team.
Yeah.
Not only do we have the same player, but we use the same list. I actually have 2 Twins players, luckily. I'm just gonna read straight off my script because we might as well have written the same thing. We might as well have shared a document with each other. Alex Kirilloff was one of the unluckiest hitters in 2021. He had a slugging percentage of .423 and an expected slugging percentage of .541, a WOBA of .307 and an expected WOBA of .365. Kris, you're never going to believe this. Among the 328 hitters with 150 balls in play in 2021, Kirilloff had the highest difference between slugging and X-slugging and WOBA and expected WOBA. This is where I went off your script a little bit. 17.7% of Kirilloff's batted balls were hard-hit line drives, which ranked 15th on that same list of 328. And his slugging percentage on said batted balls was .862, with the league average being .1090.
That's crazy.
He was hitting the ball hard to the wrong places on an alarmingly high rate.
Yeah.
That feels even crazier than when we had the same question about the Brewers last year. Like, we used the same list of hitters to make our point. Anyway, you already kind of said it, but Alex Kirilloff, it sucks that we started with the Twins because Alex Kirilloff is like, if I had to pick one bat that's going to break out this year, it's him.
Right. Yeah. It would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Anyway, fortunately, I do have another player on the Twins.
Nice.
And that is Bailey Ober, who is a starting pitcher. In 92 and a third innings pitched last year, he had a 9.36 strikeouts per 9 and 1.85 walks per 9. That gave him a 5.05 K to walk ratio, which ranked 9th among the 104 pitchers that had at least 90 innings pitched from the day that he debuted through the end of the season. So I believe he debuted on May 16th. And it's from that date on, the 104 pitchers that had 90 innings pitched, his K to walk ratio ranked 9th. However, the problem with him last year is that he surrendered more home runs than walks. He throws breaking balls 29% of the time between his slider and his curveball, and he had location issues with those two last year, which caused some issues. 8.9% of all of the breaking balls he threw ended up in game day zone 5. Which, if you are not familiar with Baseball Savant, that means it was the worst place to throw a baseball. It was right down the middle of the plate. And as you can imagine, that's why he allowed a lot of home runs. That's the 14th highest rate of among the 182 pitchers to throw 400 breaking balls. The 8.9% of breaking balls ending up in that place. So Bailey Ober, a lot of potential, strikes out a lot of guys, doesn't walk a lot of people. He has home run problems, and it's easy to see why with those location issues. If he can fix those, he's got it all checked out.
Yeah. Just if he just stops hanging the curveball, a lot of potential there.
That's the issue. So I will let you ask your question first.
It's related to pitching.
Okay.
The Twins ranked 14th in the AL in team ERA in 2021. Will they be better, worse, or the same this year?
Better or worse than 14th?
In the AL, yeah.
In the AL. I think they'll be better. I'm assuming the one team that they were above was the Orioles. I see no reason to believe why the Orioles would pass them in ERA.
Mhm.
I mean, I think, we just mentioned a lot of pitchers that that can break out. Sonny Gray being one of them. I just talked about Bailey Ober. I think that there are plenty of guys that have a lot of potential to be better. Dylan Bundy's an addition. Joe Ryan, I think, has a lot of potential. And their bullpen is solid. I think they will be better than 14th for sure. Yes, I think that's an easy yes. My question is a lot more open interpretation. This is such a compelling team that is very weird with the way that they went about their offseason. They kind of bought and they kind of sold. So, what is the conversation that we will be having with the Minnesota Twins come trade deadline time?
Come trade deadline time. Well, they can't sell off Buxton. That's a very interesting question. Because
I still think they could sell off Buxton. I mean, it would be a really bad look, but I think there would be teams that are interested.
True.
But also, they have an expected $94 million payroll. That is bad.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm thinking it's weird because I'm trying to figure out where they'll be standings wise. I imagine come trade deadline time, they're going to be around 500. They're going to be far from wherever the White Sox are. I don't think they're going to be too much in the wild card race.
How much do you think? Well, how much do you think that, like, with the expanded wild card race, like, do you think that is going to encourage more teams like the Twins to buy?
I do, but I think there's still going to be conversation about them potentially trading off Gary Sanchez or Gio Urshela.
Okay.
But and yeah, I don't think they're going to be necessarily at least buying heavy at the trade deadline. I don't think they're going to sacrifice top prospects at the trade deadline. And yeah, I think if there is a conversation, it might be surrounding Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela.
Interesting. Okay. What about a guy like Jorge Polanco?
Oh yeah. When does
Miguel Sano, even one of those pitchers, Sonny Gray, probably not Bailey Ober, Dylan Bundy.
Well, yeah, I think should look at their salaries and contracts to see like when all that ends.
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering like what their. Let me just look up Minnesota Twins.
Oh, the Padres just got Luke Voit.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah. I'm interested to see the return. Hear me out, Eric Hosmer to New York.
Oh my god.
I'm glad that Luke Voit gets to actually be a part of an offense because it seemed like he was getting boxed out in New York, which was very weird.
Was weird.
Yeah. Never really understood that. Let's see. The Yankees are getting Justin Lange? Let me look at this guy.
But yeah, Luke Voit, I think since 2018 had like an 880 something OPS.
Yeah.
He led the MLB in home runs in the shortened 2020 season. And they just want to get him out.
So the Yankees are getting a 19-year-old pitcher from the Padres who he pitched 22 innings last year in the, what does ACL stand for? Arizona Complex League. Okay. I mean, he struck out a lot of guys, 11.9 strikeouts per nine, a lot of walk issues, however. But he's 19. I'm sure that can be fixed. Is that really the only guy? Is it a 1-for-1? That can't be it.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Seems like a good DH option for the Padres. And yeah, Luke Voit.
Absolutely.
Luke Voit, since the start of 2018, has an 881 OPS in 1,146 plate appearances. It's been a weird. Even last year, he was above average offensively, like in what was considered a down year. Like I don't know what the deal was. Like they would have been fine with just him and without Rizzo. Kind of weird.
It's gonna be interesting to see. Like, I mean, we've had this conversation before, but what do they do with Hosmer now? Like, they got another infielder, another first baseman. Let's see. I mean, obviously, Fangraphs has not updated their depth chart yet. But they have Jurickson Profar as their DH. I would imagine that changes. This still feels like a very incomplete lineup. Oh, that's because Fernando Tatis Jr. is hurt. That's why.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good addition. Back to the question of potential free agents with the Twins. Yeah, they have coming off the books next year, they have Taylor Rogers, Gary Sanchez, Tyler Duffy. Apparently Urshela's a free agent after 2023. And then, yeah, I'm looking at where's Jorge Polanco in this equation? Jorge Polanco, where are you? I can't find him. Is he up near the top? Is he? Oh, Jorge Polanco. He is, I think, a free agent after 2023. It says oh yeah, there's a vesting out. Yeah, he's under contract through 2023 with an option after 2024. So yeah, I think it will mostly, to go back to the question, I think it'll be mostly surround Gary Sanchez, because I don't think the Twins are necessarily going to be giving up on 2023.
Yeah.
When it comes trade deadline time, because they'll be like kind of hovering around 500. I see it.
That is fair.
So yeah, I wouldn't see them dishing off like Jorge Polanco at that point.
Yeah.
All right, so now we advance to the
Kansas City Royals. Yeah.
There's not much to say about the team. There's not much to say about the team as it stands right now. They have
just where they stand in the future.
They have some quality prospects. So last year they went 74-88 and finished fourth in the AL Central after actually starting the year 16-9. They really deked everyone. And in the offseason they added Zach Greinke and Amir Garrett. They didn't really lose anyone significant.
They lost Mike Minor, I guess, in that trade.
Right. Who's your player to watch from the Royals?
Okay, I went a bit off the grid for this one. My player to watch is Carlos Hernandez. For those of you who don't know, he is projected to be the 5th starter in the Royals rotation. This is like most of the reason I picked him is just because of his visuals. And I'll explain that, but it's interesting. So he struggled last year, but he underwent some major changes to his pitch arsenal. Kris, if you go to Savant and you look at his pitch percent by season, you'll see that there's a giant X going through it, because in 2020, he debuted and he used his sinker 49.4% of the time, and then he used it 7.3% of the time in 2021. On the other hand, he used his four-seam fastball 2% of the time in 2020 and 48.5% of the time in 2021. So he has a 5-pitch arsenal, by the way. So like between 2020 and 2021, he ditched his main pitch and replaced it for the pitch he used the least. Like completely.
Yeah, very interesting.
Which I don't think is practiced that often. Also worth noting, he has an average fastball velocity of 97.1 miles an hour. 3.9% of the four-seamers he threw reached 100 miles an hour, which doesn't seem like a big, but it ranks 5th among the 318 pitchers to throw at least 300 four-seamers. So, that is worth noting. I think he can be an interesting piece to look at, just because it'll be interesting to see if he stays with the fastball, if he's able to locate better, because if he can, I mean, he's throwing 100 more consistently than most starting pitchers out there. It's also worth noting, like, maybe they send him to the bullpen if some other pitchers come up, guys like Asa Lacy that I know are in the minors, Jackson Coher, if they develop further, because I think with that kind of arsenal, Like maybe it's worth taking a look at having him pitch in relief.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting transition from Carlos Hernandez for sure.
Yeah.
So my player to watch, so I think most of the players to watch with, like, yeah, all the players to watch with the Royals are on the younger side. Um, I didn't want to put Bobby Witt Jr. because I feel like that's
too easy.
like he's you could argue he's the best player on the Royals, even though he's never played a game for them.
You could. That is a great point. You absolutely could argue that.
Yeah, for reference, yeah, yesterday he was just named the number one prospect in baseball according to MLB.com. He had 33 home runs and 29 stolen bases, and he plays good shortstop as well. I think in spring training last year he had like some 400, like 70 something foot home run. He's obviously a player to watch. And I thought you might go with the direction of MJ Melendez, because you actually mentioned him
Yes.
to me in the offseason. MJ Melendez, he's a catching prospect. I don't see him. He's going to have Salvador Perez in front of him, so he'll probably like find a new position this year, maybe at first base or DH or something. He had the most home runs in minor league baseball last year. And has an estimated time of arrival for 2022. So I didn't go with either of those two. I went with Nick Prado. He was the 14th overall pick in the 2017 draft. He's the number 3 prospect in the Royals system and the number 3 first base prospect in baseball. And he has an estimated time of arrival for 2022. Last year, he had a 385 on base percentage, a 988 OPS, and 36 home runs in minor league baseball. So, MJ Melendez probably got more attention because he had 41 home runs, which led the minors, but had a little bit over a 1,000 OPS. But Nick Prado was right there with him in that Kansas City minor league system. I mean, I wonder where the Omaha Storm Chasers finished last year. They had a stacked lineup.
They did.
Like,
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
20.
Yeah, they had Bobby Witt Jr. They had Nick Prado. They had MJ Melendez.
Yeah, Omaha Storm Chasers. If they,
it went 73 and 56.
So yeah, a good team. I bet like their pitchers must have been slacking. Like they should have been. They probably should have been better, even though they were a quality team.
Really?
Yeah, like you have Bobby Witt Jr. hitting 33 home runs. You have Nick Prado hitting 36 and MJ Melendez hitting 41. Like that's some quality.
It's also funny because like we talk about these power hitters, like that hasn't been the Royals' philosophy like ever.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Like outside of Jorge Soler that one year.
Yeah. And
yeah,
like I guess Salvador Perez, but even then like
Perez.
He was on those teams that like him and Mike Moustakas, like yeah, they were power hitters, but they were on those teams that like won with small ball and stuff.
Oh yeah, for my actual player to watch, under the radar guy,
Salvador Perez.
Salvador Perez, he is 48 home runs.
The best offensive season by a catcher ever.
Did he win Gold Glove last year?
No, I don't even think he was a finalist.
Four or 5 time Gold Glove winner, Salvador Perez.
He's a free swinger, that guy.
He's got a great arm. It's a lot of home runs, but that's about it.
That's literally all he does.
All you really need to know.
If you just looked at slugging percentage, he's awesome. But don't look at OBP or OPS for that matter.
Yeah, and don't look at his
weighted runs created plus or anything. It's not ISO or slugging.
Yeah.
Definitely don't look at framing.
Yeah, definitely not. But yeah, he'll be in the way of MJ Melendez.
Yes.
But I mean, he's better.
I mean, worth noting, why don't they just move him? Why don't they move Salvi to DH? Put Melendez behind the plate. Salvi can only have to be a hitter.
But he's got 4 Gold Gloves.
Here's the thing. I can appreciate Salvador Perez a lot more if he's just a hitter.
Yeah, me too.
Because we don't have to talk about best offensive season by a DH of all time with Salvador Perez doing what he did last year.
Yeah.
No one's throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Like, that was most of the reason that I was annoyed by it, was people were like, Salvador Perez, the best catcher offensively ever. No, no, not even close, actually.
Yeah.
No one's having that conversation with DH if he does the same thing. So it's cool.
Yeah. He's basically Mike Piazza offensively and Yadier Molina defensively.
Yeah, that was Spader too.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't just one of these, like,
an opinion I respect.
Yeah.
I lost some respect.
Yeah, baseball wise, an opinion like that yeah.
Yeah, what the heck?
Guy that you would talking about.
All right. So now on to questions.
Yeah, so I'll go first this time. I guess it's an interesting question since you only went with Prado because you thought I was going with Melendez. First of all, I will give attention at Melendez, I promise. I just couldn't ignore the weirdness of Carlos Hernandez.
Yep.
So who will make more of an impact this year, MJ Melendez or Nick Prado?
Huh. That's a good question. Yeah, it's weird because like they had extremely similar offense production. I think MJ Melendez's OPS was like 1011. Nick Prado's was 988. I think, and Prado is more likely to find a defensive position. He'll probably go to first base. MJ Melendez will probably be in the DH role and maybe split time with Perez catching wise. So I feel like they'll get similar amount of playing time. The
Royals are, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the Royals are probably going to have to carry 3 catchers on their roster if Melendez is performing well, because it's like those are like Perez and Melendez are guys you want to have in the lineup every day, but they're both catchers, so like of course you're going to want to have to give them some rest.
Yeah,
that's just an observation.
Well, if Perez, yeah, well, if Melendez goes on the days Perez isn't going to go behind the plate, I feel like if you have a 2 catcher system, that's good. But I guess you'll want to have some days off for some of them. But didn't Perez play like 161 games last year?
No, really?
I think it was pretty insane. And not only that, he played 161 games.
He did. Oh my god. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. He had he was in there a lot. I should look at the standard fielding to see how many of those times he was catching. Standard fielding, catching. He caught in. He was the starting catcher in 120 of those games. So yeah. And then starting DH for 40. The math doesn't add up there. Or no, I think he was a pinch hitter. Yeah, he was a pinch hitter one of those games. Yeah. So yeah. So they'll probably split some time there. And yeah, I don't know how often MJ Melendez is going to play. I don't know how often he's going to be behind the plate. But back to your question. I will say Nick Prado.
Okay.
Just, I don't know. I feel like it's a real coin flip, and I feel like maybe more people are focused on Melendez, so I'll just throw a little bit of a curveball.
I mean, the correct answer is realistically Bobby Witt Jr., but it's just too easy.
He'll be most likely better than both. My question is, it'll probably involve some of the players we just mentioned, along with some other guys that accumulated some wins above replacement. And I actually did specifically gear this in the way that it did for, a certain reason. Who will lead the team in position player F war? As we know, Perez.
I mean, there's a lot of ways I could go with this.
Because last year,
I feel like you were setting me up to say Melendez.
Last year it was Nicky Lopez.
I was gonna say Nicky Lopez is a viable option with his defense if he can, keep the offense up. A full year of Andrew Benintendi, could seem tempting. Bobby Witt Jr. coming up.
Yeah.
Position player F4.
It's tough.
You know what? I'm gonna say Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah.
I think he does it. Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yep. I'm gonna go with the fact that the rookie is the best player on the team.
Yeah, if you had betting odds, I think he would be the favorite. If people know about F4 and catcher framing,
yes.
They won't pick Perez. So yeah, like that's a pretty viable option. I think I would probably pick Bobby Witt Jr. as well. All right. On to the Detroit Tigers.
Yes.
Who last year went 77 and 85. I think they were over 500 from May 8th on.
Yep, that's literally what I was looking up right now.
They went 77
from May 8th on. They went 68 and 61. Yeah.
68 and 61. So they went 77 and 85 overall, 68 and 61 in their final 129 games, and finished third in the American League Central. They lost Matthew Boyd and Willie Peralta, and they added some pretty big pieces with Javier Baez and Eduardo Rodriguez. Who started last? Should I do my player to watch?
Yes, I started with Hernandez first.
Yeah. My player to watch is, I'm not going to, this isn't too much of a deep dive. Jeimer Candelario.
Yep.
Last year, under the radar, led the MLB in doubles. And since the start of 2020, he ranks 7th in F4 among third basemen. And he is right between Nolan Arenado and Matt Chapman in that category of Fangraphs wins above replacement. He's kind of an under the radar contributor. Had a 795 OPS last year. He's getting better over time, I believe, in his late 20s. And I think, he's probably one of the catalysts of that offense. He probably has, he's been the best offense contributor for the Tigers over the past 2 years. He'll probably be, if the Tigers do have success this year, he'll probably be one of the main reasons. That's all I have on Jeimer Candelario. Who do you have?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, going back to your Royals pick, I respect that you went with one of the secondary prospects and not the obvious guy,
Yeah.
So anyway, my Tigers player to watch is Spencer Torkelson.
To be fair,
Spencer Torkelson.
To be fair, 2 years ago I went with Casey Mize.
Yeah. Worth it. Fangraphs has him with 560 plate appearances, 30 home runs, and a 497 slugging percentage this year. If he achieves this, he will become the 20th rookie in MLB history to accumulate each of those numbers. They have him hitting 7th right now. I think by the end of the year, he could be hitting cleanup with probably Baez hitting 3rd. This is a guy that is legit. He was the number 1 pick 2 years ago for a reason. He's only entering his age 22 season, so he's very young. This is a guy if you're gonna watch the Tigers this year, they have a very under the radar, sneaky good team. But if you need just one single reason to watch, this is it. This guy's gonna be coming up this year. I think he's gonna light the world on fire this year.
We mentioned the additions of Javier Baez and Eduardo Rodriguez. Spencer Torkelson could be a better addition, even though he's coming from the system, a better addition than both of those guys.
Yeah.
this year.
What are some of the things in general for the Tigers? I mean, I think their lineup is like all right. Like, yeah, I mean, just looking up and down, Akil Badu, Robbie Grossman, Javier Baez, Jeimer Candelario, Jonathan Scope, Miguel Cabrera, Spencer Torkelson, Tucker Barnhart, also a very under the radar good addition, Victor
Oh
Reyes.
yeah, I forgot to put that as an addition.
Yeah, and then in the pitching staff, Eduardo Rodriguez is the ace. I think having that veteran leadership is huge for guys like Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, Matt Manning. I think those are kind of the big three. They also have Riley Green. Is he coming up this year? He says his ETA is 2022. Outfielder, right with Torkelson, as a
Well, some quality
prospect.
bullpen arms as well with
Yeah,
Gregory Soto, Michael Fulmer, like kind of Michael
Andrew
Fulmer.
they just added Andrew Chafin.
Yeah, they just I forgot to put that down.
Yeah,
Yeah, they added Tucker Barnhart, definitely quality defensive backstop who won a Gold Glove a few years back, and can also add some offense there. And like, what was their catching situation? There was Eric Haas, which he didn't play a whole lot, but
he was all right.
Yeah, he's good. But yeah, Tucker Barnhart adding to that left-handed bat in the catcher's role. So yeah, he'll be a good addition, and I think the thing with the Tigers is like they're a growing roster. So like even if they don't have a ton of additions, I think they're going to make a lot of improvements. I think Tarek Skubal and Matt Manning are going to make steps up. I can imagine Akil Badu and I don't know if Nico Goodrum is going to.
He's not on the team anymore.
Yeah, he's not.
He's
He's
on
not
the
gonna,
Astros. Yeah.
But maybe Willie Castro is gonna make the lineup a little bit. You do like having Robbie Grossman in that lineup. He's a guy who gets on base.
Yes, he does.
Gets on base quite a bit. And yeah, Candelario, like I mentioned, and Torkelson, that's a big addition. Number 1 overall pick in 2020, and number 4 prospect in baseball, number 3.
Number 4 and 5.
Yeah.
I think if Riley Green can be replacing Victor Reyes on the lineup by the end of the year, that's a huge upgrade.
Riley Green
is an outfielder.
MLB.com.
He's literally, I'm pretty sure on MLB.com he's right below Torkelson.
He kind of snuck up.
Yeah.
He wasn't I don't think he was super high on the list last year. I think he's snuck up. Yeah.
He was there. Let me check where he was last year.
Maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention. Maybe I should have had him as the player to watch. 534 slugging in the minors last year from Riley Green, and an ETA for 2022. So this is my, I guess,
another guy worth watching.
A player to watch that I didn't officially put as a player to watch, but yeah.
Also a former something you should know, former Connecticut Tiger.
Oh wait. Or wait,
played 100 games there in 2019.
2019. It wasn't while I worked there. Dang.
Okay.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Or how many games did he play? Because the good guys didn't really play on the Connecticut Tigers. He only played 24 games there.
24 games, got 100 plate appearances.
Where did he get drafted?
Pretty sure he was a top draft pick too. First round, 5th overall in 2019. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So 301, 387, 534 for a 921 OPS in the minors last year. That's a quality guy. Just a growing roster, and I mean, maybe they won't. It's possible, they probably won't be quite knocking on the door of the AL Central this year, but I think next year.
That's when we start. That's when
as their roster grows.
Sure.
They're gonna be a hot contender for sure. And there's growing optimism after finishing the year 68 and 61 also. Mm-hmm. So questions? Yeah, on to the question. Who asked first last time?
You I did. Well, it's just whoever presents their player first, so that would be you.
Oh yeah. So my question regards 2 players that had pretty opposite seasons. Who will have the better season, Casey Mize or Eduardo Rodriguez?
I think Eduardo Rodriguez. I think he's really going to benefit from that new ballpark and getting away from the Red Sox infield defense because that was, as you know more than anyone else, Chris, abysmal. He had a 316 BABIP against on ground balls. That's not supposed to happen. The fact that he has Javier Baez behind him, that alone is like a huge upgrade, regardless of who else is playing in the infield.
Right.
Um, Torgelson, I believe, is a first baseman, right? Yeah, he is. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess having a rookie at first is going to be interesting because we really don't know what to expect out of him. Candelario and Scope are decent as well. I think for that reason, like moving from Fenway to Comerica is a huge upgrade for any pitcher. Moving from the Red Sox infield defense to anywhere else is a huge upgrade for a pitcher. And I think Eduardo Rodriguez is going to be the better one for that reason.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense for sure.
I also have a question regarding the pitching staff. Which of the young pitchers do you see the most growth out of this year?
The most growth. So that would mean, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the best guy.
It doesn't have to be those three. That's who I was thinking. Like you could pick someone else if you want.
I should I should look at some of their numbers based off of
I can tell you off the top of my head, Mize was very good. He just needs to strike out more guys. Scooble strikes out a lot of guys. I would just love to see more walks. And Manning is kind of all around.
Scooble had over 2 home runs per 9. That's pretty
Yes.
nuts.
Yes.
I'm gonna say we see the most growth out of well, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it's growth, but I see an ERA dip for Tarek Skubal because he's already got a quality strikeout to walk ratio. I feel like he has to allow less home runs. I think we're gonna see the most growth because growth is a bit.
It's a very subjective term. Yeah.
I think in terms of run prevention, we will see the most growth out of Tarek Skubal, and then in terms of like
Peripherals.
strikeout rate, and like strikeout to walk ratio, maybe Matt Manning.
Okay.
Not to give you multiple answers, but
Yeah,
I think
no,
we'll
I
see.
I think
I
that's a
think
good
we'll see
answer.
the most direct improvement from like Tarek Skubal in terms of like
Yes.
helping the Tigers win.
All right.
All right. So now on
And then
to
coming up.
the newly named Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, it is a new era in Cleveland.
Yes.
I think this team is a sneaky good lineup. I mean, I know that there have been some Jose Ramirez trade rumors. I don't think they trade him. I think he's going to be on the unless they get an offer they can't deny, which I don't think exists. Yeah.
Sneaky good lineup. I should look at, or I should probably go to the Fangraphs projected lineup.
Yes.
Well,
I think if we could see some growth out of Bobby Bradley, you know, he was a guy that had a lot of power last year, but he struck out a lot, like more than just the average, a lot. That's a guy that can make a huge impact on a lineup.
99 strikeouts and 279 plate appearances.
Yeah. Yes.
Like almost 40%.
I think this is a team they're not going to hit a lot of home runs, but if they can hit a lot of doubles, that's cool. Like I am looking at guys like Miles Straw, Ahmed Rosario, Andres Jimenez. Those are and then you can leave the home runs to guys like Franmil Reyes, Bobby Bradley.
Right.
Bradley Zimmer for the doubles too. Do you have anything to say before I get into my player to watch?
Just basic information. They went 80 and 82 and finished second in the AL Central last year. That was mostly without Terry Francona at the helm. And in terms of losses, they lost Brian Shaw, Blake Parker, Harold Ramirez, Roberto Perez, and Wilson Ramos. But and they didn't really make any significant additions necessarily. Who is your player to watch?
So are you looking at this Fangraphs projected lineup right now, Chris?
No. Let me
Okay.
do that.
I thought okay. No worries. I thought you were.
Team. Hurry up.
Cleveland.
Projection. How do you get to the projected lineup?
Okay, so you go to roster resource, and you just go to current depth charts. You click on Guardians, and then there's a bunch of options above, and it says depth charts, and you'll see the projected. Well, it's the starting lineup versus right-handers. So this could be different based on the day.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
But regardless.
Straw, Rosario, Ramirez, Reyes.
So
Okay.
you look up and down this lineup. There's one name that you're like, wait, who is that guy?
Yeah, I get it.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My player to watch is Steven Kwan, who is a left fielder. And Kris, this guy is super interesting. Last year, he had 341 plate appearances between AA and AAA, which is why he's projected to be on the opening day roster. He slashed 328, 407, 527, 934 for a 154 weighted runs created plus. He is a 10.6% walk rate and a 9.1% strikeout rate. This dude does not swing and miss. He hits everything, and he hits them far. 527 slugging, almost a 200 ISO. He was one of just 3 players in all of minor league baseball, AA, AAA, single A, the complex leagues, the development leagues. He is one of 3 players in all of minor league baseball to have more strikeouts than walks and a 150 weighted runs created plus. That's minimum 300 plate appearances. I believe there were like 800 of such players.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That is a guy that I will have my eye on for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hitting 3. Yeah, I'm looking at the
only real red flag is that he's a Cleveland outfielder.
Yeah,
that's not even his fault.
Yeah, like if Mike Trout got traded there, his OPS plus would be below 100.
That's so true.
Yeah, like they can have
every year we're like, this is the outfielder that's gonna break out, but this one's for real.
Yeah.
This one is actually gonna happen. I can feel it. This is the year.
Yeah, they could have Trout, Soto, and Acuna. It's not gonna work. Yeah, it's tough. So yeah, it is funny because I did go to the projected lineup and I was like, who is Steven Kwan?
That is Steven Kwan.
And yeah, 930 OPS, 934 OPS in the minors, 328 average. Yeah, 12 home runs, 15 doubles in 77 games. Yeah, looks like potential. There's potential.
There. He's projected a 342 OBP in 329 plate appearances this year. So he's probably not going to play the full season. I could see him starting out in the minor leagues. Like this is, I looked it up. For some reason, this guy just isn't like really highly touted in Cleveland's system. I don't know why. So I don't think it's a guy that's worth like wasting a year of service time on. Like I don't think he's actually on the opening day roster, but I think he's there for a large part of the season.
Yeah, because I mean, if he's in the projected lineups, then
yeah, like there are guys, especially outfielders, that are worth looking at. Like George Valera is one of their top prospects. Bo Naylor is there. Nolan Jones. Like if they're gonna like exempt themselves from service, especially Cleveland, if they're gonna exempt themselves from service time manipulation, I think it'd be on those guys. I don't think it'd be on a guy like Steven Kwan. But I do think he makes it this year.
Yeah. I was also looking at drafted in 2018. He's had some time in the minors for sure. Mm-hmm. My player to watch is a guy who I had as a how about that last year. And he continued his success after I put him as a how about that. So I figured I'd put him in, when you think of the Guardians rotation, you think of Shane Bieber heading that rotation, rightfully so. Won the Cy Young in 2020. Was having another very good year last year before he ran into injury troubles. But the guy number 2 in that rotation is someone who they picked up in a trade with the Padres in the middle of the 2020 season, and who produced a very good season for them last year, 2.89 ERA last year. Cal Quantrill, coming from the right side. pretty much all his success came in the second half of last year. In the second half, he had the second lowest ERA out of 41 qualifiers with a 1.94 ERA. Also, out of 58 pitchers with 200 plus batted balls in the second half, Quantrill's average exit velocity against was 9th lowest, and his hard hit rate against was 7th lowest. So he's a guy who gets soft contact, more of an older school pitcher, and was able to succeed and probably will, maybe he probably won't be able to succeed on the same level he did last year, but he'll probably give you some consistent innings. He's also a guy with a good amount of control, so he's probably, another successful successful Guardians pitcher that you will see in the coming years as he continues to develop. So what is the question regarding the Guardians?
The Guardians. Oh yeah. Okay. So James Karinchak showed to be one of the most affected pitchers by the substance ban last year. I think his K per 9 was cut in half. It went from like 15 to like mid 8s. It was 15.92 to 8.7. So how will he fare in his first season since the ban? Like, will he have a resurgence, or will he kind of stay where he was in June through the end of last season?
Man, it's Karinchak, as you mentioned, has had an interesting career path. Karinchak, there was that funny thing where he like started a like donation thing for like per strikeout, and then the substance ban happened and his strikeout rate went down dramatically. It was weird. But yeah, James Karinchak's career path, very interesting, as you mentioned. And I remember a podcast, we used to listen to. A guy mentioned him before he ever stepped on the big league mound. He just had like this crazy strikeout rate, but it might have been partially because of substances. And then great 2020 season, and then a tale of two seasons last season. I think I see Karinchak as, he's not going to be a stopper. I think, Emmanuel Clase will continue to be the best reliever on that team. I think, he'll be like a 7th, 8th inning guy, mid 3s ERA, probably a strikeouts per 9 around 10 or 11. He'll probably be kind of in between where he was last year and this year. I think he'll make some adjustments without the substances. Maybe he just had to make an adjustment.
All right. What is your question?
My question, will both Jose Ramirez and Shane Bieber be on the team by the end of the season?
I think they will. Yeah, I think they will. Shane Bieber, I think, is just a much easier yes, because I think he's only ARB1 this year.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I would just want to make sure.
And then Ramirez.
Yeah, he's an ARB1 this year. Ramirez has 2 years left on his deal. He has a club option for 2023. For the contract he's currently under, I see no reason why they don't pick that up, even if it's Cleveland. I do think he stays on the team this year. I don't really know. I don't really have much to explain. Yeah, that's about that.
I think I asked that question because I kind of see the Guardians like either staying in the same spot or being even potentially worse than last year.
Yeah.
Because
I just don't I don't think it's gonna be to the point of trading Jose Ramirez. Like, maybe they sell off some other pieces. Like, maybe they sell off Ramiro Reyes. Maybe they sell off like Aaron Savali, Zach Plesac.
Yeah.
But I don't think it gets that drastic.
Yeah, and they usually do some of their bigger deals in the off season.
Yeah. I don't think they've ever like sold big at the deadline before because they've mostly been in contention. I don't
Yeah,
really
and
think
even
they
when
did
they
that much
did,
last year.
even when they did sell a big piece, they still got like major league.
Hmm.
Like at the deadline, the one time they did sell off a big piece, they got quality major league return with like Yasiel Puig and
That's right.
Ramon
Yeah,
Reyes.
that was a big deal, but it also helped them in the present day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. I mean, I think that's my answer is that no, they do not get traded this year. They are still on the roster on opening day. Now, come 2023, um, I think the Guardians pick up on that club option on Jose Ramirez because he's owed I think like $13 million,
Yeah.
which is if it was $23 million, I would still say he's underpaid.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's paid. Yeah, he's owed $11 million this year and $13 million on the club option of 2023.
yeah, he might just be like he might be a
How did
top
they?
five
How did they get him to sign that? Like after 2017, he signed a 7-year, $48 million contract.
after 2017.
After 2016,
Okay.
that's what I meant.
Yeah, still,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was like his first good season, I guess, and it wasn't. It still wasn't like MVP worthy, but wow.
Yeah, like you could argue he's a top 5 position player in baseball, and like if he was on the free agent market now, he should be getting north of 30 million
Yeah,
AAV.
that team. That team. They have a projected payroll of $52 million this year.
Yeah.
If
And
they extended Jose Ramirez to give him like $28 million in average annual value, it would go up to like 70% or $70 million.
yeah.
That's so sad.
And for those unaware, Jose Ramirez, since I believe the start of 2017, only Mike Trout and Mookie Betts rank above him in F4.
That is
And
so depressing.
since the start of 2020, he has the most F4 in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Um,
Should have
he's
won
one-
MVP in
he's one of
2020
the
as
best.
well.
Yeah, should have won MVP in 2020. He's one of the best players in baseball and doesn't get enough appreciation. So yeah. Now on to the Chicago White Sox. They went 93-69 last year, won the American League Central, and then lost to the Astros in the American League Division Series in 4 games. They lost Carlos Rodon, as we mentioned earlier in the program. They also lost Ryan Tepera, and then on a more minor scale, Brian Goodwin and Evan Marshall. And they added, mostly just in their bullpen, Kendall Graveman and Joe Kelly. I don't think they added anyone else necessarily significantly, unless I missed something. Yeah, Kendall Graveman and Joe Kelly was mostly
They
it.
picked up Craig Kimbrell's option, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, they did not make any trades. Wow.
Yeah.
Not a single one.
So my player to watch, I don't know if I mentioned him on the podcast, but I mentioned him to you.
I was gonna say there was only one correct answer here.
Yeah.
There was only one correct answer.
Like I mentioned earlier in the program, some of the guys I mentioned just because they're funny, and he's funny. He's good, but he's
downright hilarious.
Yeah, funny. He's just funny. Aaron Bummer. I mean, the name's funny too. Aaron Bummer. So, despite finishing 81st in ERA among 141 relievers with 50 plus innings pitched, despite finishing 81st among 141 relievers with 50 plus innings pitched in the ERA category, he finished 18th in the OPS against category and 22nd in FIP. So there was a big having a big difference in like ranking and ERA and OPS against usually doesn't make sense. And also he had the 18th highest strikeouts per 9 of those 141 relievers. So, top of the line, top 15%, 20% in strikeouts per 9 among the relievers with 50 plus innings pitch. So why the ranking in ERA and OPS against were so different was because a lot of the earned runs he allowed were after he was taken out of the game. So he would, maybe he'd get 2 outs and allow 1 base runner, but have a guy on first. But maybe the guy who came in after him to try and get the 3rd out would allow that runner to come in, which it's charged to Aaron Bummer, but still a lot of the time, like the amount of inherited runners allowed by the guys that followed him, it should not have been that amount. Or, logically speaking, statistically speaking, like it just normally shouldn't happen. So I went through his game logs. 10 of the 22 earned runs he allowed were allowed after he was taken out of the game. I feel like that's a high amount. That's not really a statistic that Baseball Reference or Fangraphs keeps track of, like inherited runners allowed that are charged to you, like that other people allowed. Not really kept track of, but I feel like that's a lot. So also he had the 50th unluckiest difference in ERA and expected ERA out of 428 pitchers with 100 plus batted balls in play against them last year. That is top 12% in terms of unlucky. And then the other hilarious thing about Aaron Bummer is he had a 76.9% ground ball rate, which is the 3rd highest rate among the 4,605 seasons in the StatCast era with 100 plus batted balls against. And he had a negative 10.9 average launch angle against, which is the lowest average launch angle against of those 4,605 seasons in the StatCast era with 100 plus batted balls against. So Aaron Bummer, just hilarious to talk about. The moral of the story is quality reliever. I mean, he had a FIP under 3 last year, an expected ERA under 3 last year. So don't forget about him when you think about the stacked White Sox bullpen.
The other thing to note about Aaron Bummer is that among the, let's see, how many pitchers was it? 355 pitchers last year that faced at least 200 batters. Aaron Bummer had the shift behind him the 3rd least amount in the league, which is so stupid because if he's pitching, you don't expect a ground ball, you assume a ground ball. It's going to happen way more often than not.
Over 3/4 of the time.
Why are you not putting the infield in a shift? It makes absolutely 0 sense.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and watch, I believe it was game. Go back and watch with caution, but go back and watch Game 2 of the ALDS last year and watch the inning that Bummer pitched. He gave up 3 consecutive ground ball hits, all of which would have been fielded by the shift.
Yeah, I remember my tweet about that because he, with the 4 batters he faced, he allowed 3 hits, which is a 750 batting average. But when I went on Baseball Savant at the time, it's, when I added up the expected batting average for those 4 hitters was 195. The actual batting average was 750.
So stupid.
So all of them, like,
it's a Tony La Russa moment if I've ever seen one.
What?
It's a Tony La Russa moment if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, unfortunately the manager stays the same, but he should be there should be more shifts put in place when Aaron Bummer is on the mound.
Yes.
Yeah. So who's your play to watch from the South Side?
So I went with a more well-known player, but for an unknown reason. I'm talking about Tim Anderson. Now, Kris, if I tell you that Tim Anderson is a 4-tool player, what's the one tool that you're automatically knocking out of your head? It's like, well, it's not this one.
Is it arm?
No, it's not arm.
It's field?
I was thinking power.
Oh yeah, power.
That's awkward. But anyway, Tim Anderson, not known for being a power hitter. I think you can agree with that.
Yeah, no. He's known for hitting for contact for sure.
Yes. Of the 261 hitters that had at least 200 batted balls last year, Tim Anderson had the highest WOBA when going to the opposite field. For some reason, he is literally Barry Bonds when he goes the other way. He had 17 home runs last year, 10 of them went the other way. And since 2002, which is as far back as Fangraphs data goes, there have been 2,154 seasons where a hitter had at least 100 batted balls to the opposite field, and Tim Anderson's 263 weighted runs created plus ranks 13th on that list. Again, that is 2,154 seasons. Tim Anderson is 13th in a power stat. So for whatever reason, when he goes the opposite way, he's the best hitter. He was one of the best hitters of the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting, this is not just a Tim Anderson thing. It goes for everyone, but I think it's very funny. He has a -6-degree launch angle when he pulls the ball and a 20-degree launch angle when he goes the opposite way. And I checked at all the other like known ground ball hitters, like the known contact hitters. It's roughly the same for most of them. So it's not just a Tim Anderson thing, but it also is just fun to realize.
Yeah. What was his launch angle on pulling the ball?
-6 degrees.
Yeah. The 26-degree difference.
Yeah. That's substantial. And again, that's a 263 weighted runs created plus when he goes the other way.
263 weighted runs created. And yeah,
and that led the league in 2021 as well.
And you said like 20 something out of 2000.
13th out of 2,154 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty great.
It's interesting. If you're gonna watch Tim Anderson, if he goes to the opposite way, it's probably gonna be a home run or a double.
Yeah. Keep the ball inside on him.
Yes, that's actually a really good thing for the scouting report.
Yeah. Yeah, keep that ball inside. All right, my question is kind of basic, but I feel like there's a good amount of there's some good candidates for different reasons. On this subject. Who will lead White Sox pitchers in strikeouts?
Like total strikeouts.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna say Lucas Giolito. I think that's the easiest choice. I think it's the most reasonable choice.
Do you want to guess who did last year?
Was it him?
No.
Was it Dylan Cease?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's cool.
He had like 25 more than Giolito, but
that's cool.
Yeah. So
yeah.
And I think Lance Lynn is a viable.
Maybe it's Liam Hendricks with like 22 strikeouts per 9.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not totally out of reason. Yeah, I'm gonna say Lucas Giolito. He's entering his age 27 season. I think, he's a candidate. He's someone that could go 200 innings. I think it's possible, and I think he would average over a strikeout per inning if he does so.
Yeah, for sure.
I think just based on volume and strikeout rate, I think Lucas Giolito fits the description more than anyone else.
Right. Yeah, he does.
Dylan Cease, he might have a good strikeout rate. I don't see him pitching as many innings as Lucas Giolito because of the walks.
Right. Yeah, like he can have a bit of a walk issue. He had almost 4 per 9 last year.
Yes.
Question. Your question.
My question. The White Sox last year went 9-16 against the other American League playoff teams, that being the Red Sox, the Astros, the Yankees, and the Rays. 9-16. And that was one of the big reasons why we weren't really sure what to think of them coming into the postseason. They have 23 games against those teams this year. Predict their record.
23 games against those teams. Well, I'm thinking about what the other teams have done. So like Red Sox, kind of stagnant. Yankees, you could say the same, although they might get Correa. Astros, potentially losing Correa or keeping him. We don't know. And then the Rays, maybe not a 100-win team this year, but definitely a contender for the playoffs. I think the White Sox will go 11-12 against those teams.
In 25 games?
Oh,
or 23 games. Never mind. No, it's 23. I was wrong.
Yeah, I think they'll go 11.
That's a reasonable guess. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not as bad. I think also the White Sox, like they're likely to be more healthy this year. Like you're gonna have Eloy and Luis Robert for longer.
Ideally, the whole season. Yeah.
Hopefully, Yasmani Grandal for longer than they had him last year. So hopefully a nice healthy season for the White Sox, and I think that'll bring them more likely to get closer to 100 wins total and better against those teams. All right, so that does it for the American League Central. It's going to be a nice long extravaganza. Now on to the National League Central.
That's right.
With the big spending Pittsburgh Pirates.
They got Daniel Vogelbach. They got Heath Hembry.
Yeah.
That's about it.
They overperformed last year with a 61 and 100 win record and finished last in the NL Central. They added Vogelbach and Hembry. They lost Jacob Stallings, who I think was like second on the team in B-War.
Yes.
Because I saw his face second. Who are we looking at? Player to watch.
Well, I think this is a team that will not lose 100 games. They play more games against the Cubs that are more depleted than most of the games they played against them last year. They play more games against the Reds. That goes without saying. They're also going to have Kris Bryant Hayes for the whole season. They're going to have O'Neal Cruz for the full season.
Yeah.
My player to watch is a guy that I talked about as a how about that last year. I'm going the same route you did last year with the Pirates. I'm going with David Bednar. Because you talked about Richard Rodriguez. I'm talking about David Bednar. From August through the end of the season, which is after I did my how about that on him on July 4th. From August through the end of the season, he had an 0.92 ERA and a 1.19 FIP. Pretty excellent. Also in August, this I found was interesting. He dropped his split finger and ran with the fastball and curveball, and he had his best results of the season. And the split finger wasn't even that bad for him. But he dropped it and he did very well. So it'll be interesting to see if he sticks with his fastball and his curveball, if he brings back the splitter, or if he adds a new pitch.
Yeah.
I think that's something to watch for with him because it's not uncommon for relievers to only have 2 pitches, but he's succeeded with 3 and he's succeeded with 2. So I'm very curious to see what he does this year.
Yeah, Bednar was excellent last year. I was looking through the roster preparing for this, and 2.23 ERA overall, 2.69 FIP overall, and I want to see that what his strikeout to walk ratio was.
Yeah, he's going to be the closer for this team, no doubt.
Yeah, and a pretty young guy too. Like
his brother was like the MVP of the College World Series last year.
Oh, nice.
He got drafted first round by the Giants.
27 strikeouts, 4 walks from August on with no home runs allowed. Yeah.
That'll do it.
He was pretty great. And heading into his age 27 season. Pretty quality reliever last year and probably will remain. He got Rookie of the Year votes as well. Finished 8th in that award. My player to watch is a guy you mentioned. We're gonna have a full season of him. O'Neal Cruz.
Yep.
Yeah, he's.
If you didn't say it, I was gonna be like, and also, yeah.
Yeah. O'Neal Cruz. Top prospect. Playing the shortstop position. 6'7". We mentioned him on our talking about. We mentioned him like about his 2 games in the regular season last year, and we figured out he's like one of the tallest shortstops ever, or like the tallest player to play at least 50% of his games at shortstop. So that was fun. And the most interesting thing about O'Neal Cruz from last year, in his first career game, he hit the Pirates' hardest hit ball in the StatCast era. He did that in his first career game. Hardest hit ball by a Pirate in the StatCast era. overall, also, baseball prospectus, number 12 prospect in baseball before this upcoming season. And according to Baseball America, he's the number 14 prospect in baseball. In 62 games in AA, he had 12 home runs and 18 stolen bases. But, looking at how hard he was able to hit the ball, he hit the ball 118.2 miles per hour in his first career game with the Pirates, which was the hardest hit ball in that franchise's history in the StatCast era. I know, it's only 7 years, but still, it's unreal. How hard he's able to hit the ball, and also 18 stolen bases in 62 games in the minors. He has some speed as well, so he's another exciting player on the Pirates alongside Brian Reynolds and Ke'Bryan Hayes. So, what is your question regarding the Pirates?
It's funny well, first of all, Oneil Cruz is a freak of nature. He is absolutely ridiculous. Just a note on him. He is, as far back as I looked, he is the only prospect I've ever seen that has an 80 grade power tool and an 80 grade arm. Yeah. If you watch him throw the ball from shortstop, it's ridiculous. Yeah, if you hit it to him this year, you're probably gonna get out. It doesn't matter if you're Trey Turner or Yadier Molina. Fangraphs has him hitting 8th. That changes by mid-April. Yeah.
Yeah.
And first of all, I think it changes on opening day. I don't think he's hitting 8th on April 7th or whatever their first game is.
This lineup?
No. So with that being said, I'm glad you mentioned the hardest hit ball and exit velocity. By the end of the year, how many of the top 10 hardest hit balls by the Pirates in the StatCast era will be Oneil Cruz?
Top 10 in the StatCast era?
Yeah, he already has number 1. How many of the top 10 will he have by the end of the year?
Okay, well, when I was thinking of who's his competition, I was thinking Josh Bell.
Yeah.
Mostly it. How many of the top 10 in Pirates history? I'm gonna say 5.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
hardest hit balls.
I don't know if that's.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up. I actually did not take the liberty to look this up. I should have.
I think the hardest hit ball Bell hit might have been 115.
Right.
Pirates.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I got it. All right, the top 10 all time. Oneil Cruz, Josh Bell, Gregory Polanco, Josh Bell, Pedro Alvarez, Josh Bell, Pedro Alvarez, Josh Bell.
What was the second hardest hit ball?
116.2. In May of 2019 by Josh Bell, which makes a lot of sense.
What was 10th?
114.6 by Josh Bell in St. Louis in 2019.
I'm confident in my answer of 5, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think we'll get 5.
If you ask me, I would say 8. I think I'm not even kidding. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, Oneil Cruz is awesome.
Okay, my Pirates question we kind of saw this guy have 2 different seasons, each in kind of shortened form. Will Ke'Bryan Hayes have over or under a 289.5 batting average?
289.5. I'm gonna say under, but that's just because it's batting average. I still think he produces at least an 850 OPS.
Right.
But I could see him hitting 275.
Yeah. I know he hit 376 in his shortened 2020 year.
It's also the shortened 2020.
He hit 257 last year.
Yeah.
All right, so now we move on to the Cubs. Cubs went 71-91 and finished 4th in the NL Central. That was even worse when you isolate it to after the trade deadline. They lost Zach Davies. They added.
How are they ever going to survive without Zach Davies?
They added Marcus Stroman, Wade Miley, Andrelton Simmons, and Harold Ramirez. So
did you mention Clint Frazier there?
What?
Did you mention Clint Frazier there?
No, I forgot to.
They got him. They also got Seiya Suzuki.
And oh yeah, so Seiya Suzuki did sign. Okay.
Who's projected holy lord, he's projected a 386 OBP and a 528 slugging.
Oh, nice. All right,
Wow.
so
They have him. They have him having an MVP caliber season. A 386 OBP is ridiculous. And that's with a 286 average. So like they have him walking a lot. That would be a 914 OPS that they have projected for Seiya Suzuki.
all right, so the Cubs have made some quality additions with Suzuki, Stroman, Miley.
Yeah.
All right, and so my player to watch is someone who has not seen the Major League Diamond yet. I'm going with the theme that I had for the Royals and the Pirates, going with a more prospect-oriented guy. Brennan Davis.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really have much on the guy, to be honest. I just know
He's
he's
awesome.
number 15 MLB prospect, number 15 MLB.com prospect. 869 OPS in the minors last year. Probably going to be manning the outfield, given like the Cubs' lack of depth this year. Yeah, he's probably going to get some playing time. We're probably going to see more of him. We probably haven't seen like 869 OPS in the minors. He'll probably do better than that in the MLB at some point, given like his status in the prospect world. So Brennan Davis is a guy you're going to probably watch developing for the Cubs over the years, and it's going to start this year. His estimated time of arrival is 2022. Who do you got?
For what it's worth, Fangraphs has him with 14 plate appearances this year.
Okay.
So who knows what that really means? That might be a loose interpretation. Yeah. My player is one of those additions. I have Harold Ramirez. I think he goes pretty under the radar. 85th percentile 85th percentile exit velocity, 94th percentile max exit velocity, 81st percentile hard hit rate, 73rd percentile expected batting average, 85th percentile strikeout rate, like 4th percentile walk rate, 88th percentile sprint speed. This is a guy who hits the ball hard on the ground a lot. Not so much a power hitter, but he hits the ball hard. I think if like he's coming to a new team, if the Cubs can work with him on lifting the ball a little bit more, this is a guy that I think can produce a lot for the Cubs. That's kind of it. That's all I have.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If they just work with him, yeah, I think.
It's funny because the Cubs kind of have a theme with just non-power. Like if you look at their pitching staff, you have Kyle Hendricks, you had Zach Davies in the past, you have Wade Miley, like Marcus Stroman. Like they have Alec Mills. Like they are very much more finesse on the mound. And then if you look at their lineup, like a lot of guys that can have good batting averages, but
Nick
will hit a lot of singles.
Nico Horner.
Yes. Yeah. It is interesting because Harold Ramirez is a part of that, but I think he could translate that contact into power if possible.
Yeah. He's already hitting the ball hard. It's just a matter of lifting it, I guess. It's but easier said than done. And yeah, I think we did, with these players to watch, we do try to pick more under the radar guys, but like the guys who are going to perform best for the Cubs are probably going to be, Seiya Suzuki, Marcus Stroman, potentially Kyle Hendricks returns to what he was before 2021.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, we mentioned they lost Zach Davies, but most of their big losses came in the middle of last year with Kris Bryant, Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, Craig Kimbrell, Ryan Tepera. They traded all those guys right in the middle of right at the trade deadline, and rightfully so. They kind of had to do it, but yeah, not a lot of hope for them this year.
Yeah.
My question for the Cubs is: will Kyle Hendricks have over or under a 3.995 ERA?
I am going to smash the over. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, maybe the fact that the Reds lost Jesse Winker and like some of their power guys, like, is more fortunate for him. But I mean, I think up and down that division, like, I think of the Brewers have some power hitters, the Cardinals have Tyler O'Neill, like a lot of just a lot of power in that division specifically, and of course just the rest of the league. Like, I think he's gonna be giving up a lot of home runs because he did last year. Like, I feel like some of that finesse is a little bit not where it was in 2016, 2017, some of his better years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna push the over on that one for sure.
All right. All right.
My question, I mentioned this narrative earlier, and I'm running with it for my question. Rank these players by their 2022 ISO: Nico Horner, Andrelton Simmons, Nick Madrigal, Harold Ramirez.
So it's Horner, Ramirez, Madrigal, and
Simmons.
Simmons. That's you're not gonna see a lot of strikeouts. That's
No.
the name of the game. Man. So highest ISO to lowest ISO.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Harold Ramirez highest ISO. Number 2 will be that's tough. Number 2 will be Nico Horner. Number 3, Andrelton Simmons. Number 4, Nick Madrigal.
Interesting. All right.
It really could be anybody. Just thinking off the top of my head, I don't know their ISO numbers like from last year, but
Horner and Simmons were both like 060.
yeah.
Madrigal was like low 100s. Harold
Mhm.
Ramirez is also low 100s.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there's any wrong answers, except I would definitely put Harold Ramirez first,
Yeah, yeah.
in my humble opinion, as the guy who picked him as my player to watch. Yeah.
That's a funny question.
Mhm.
All right. So now on to the Cincinnati Reds. We can talk about some of their losses.
Yeah, they got a couple.
So they went 83-79 and finished third in the NL Central in 2021. However, that they will probably definitely downgrade after losing Nick Castellanos. I mean, they're not going to sign him. I know he's not on a team right now, but they've essentially
They're not gonna
lost
sign him.
Nick Castellanos, Jesse Winker, Wade Miley, Sonny Gray, Eugenio Suarez, Tucker Barnhart, and on a more minor scale, Michael Lorenzen. They added Justin Dunn. That's about it. On the major league level, that's basically what they added. I guess we should dive a little more into the Jesse Winker deal. We already talked about Sonny Gray a little bit because of the Twins, and I don't know, the Reds didn't get necessarily much from that outside of Mitch Garver.
Yeah, that's about it.
And it's not like he's going to be contributing to like a powerhouse offense as it is, given their losses. Because they did trade Jesse Winker to the Mariners. A guy who had a 939 or 949 OPS,
something like that. 980 OPS at home, 922 on the road. I know that.
922 on the road,
yeah, that's huge.
That's pretty big.
Like, I was worried about that for the Mariners. I was like, oh, are they getting a Cincinnati product? No, they're not.
Yeah, 949 OPS overall last year and 485 plate appearances. 305 average, 394 on base percentage, 555 or 556 slugging, 140 OPS plus. Just a great bat. Probably going to be in the DH role for the Mariners. From a Mariners perspective, it's just like the Mariners are just making themselves seem like
the biggest worry for me about the Mariners this year was their offense, and this erases so many of those problems.
Yeah. Now
that's two power bats. Like, Eugenio Suarez, even if he might not be his 2019 self, he'll probably still hit like 25 to 30 home runs. The Mariners don't have a single player in their opening day lineup that is homegrown. Wow.
Oh, the Mariners?
Nope, not a single one.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, you kind of have to like their outfield situation as well with Kelnick, Julio Rodriguez, Taylor Trammell,
Mitch
Mitch
Haniger,
Haniger, and now Jesse Winker.
Julio. Yeah, do you mention J-Rod?
Yeah, I did. Um, did mention Julio Rodriguez.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, like you have to love it for the Mariners, and yeah, the Reds, meanwhile, are just they're done, done with.
What a sad, like, this is a team that could have made the playoffs this year. An expanded playoff field. They finished over 500 last year. They did lose their best power bat, but like they were a couple pieces away, 100%.
Yeah, for sure,
It's really sad.
especially in this division. Like
Hmm.
you can't rely on the Brewers necessarily winning 95 games again. Like they had a very good year, but they probably overperformed a little bit.
They could have competed for the division even without Castellanos with the team that they had,
Yeah,
and that's not
yeah,
happening now.
yeah, for sure. They had
Um,
three solid starters, or actually four solid starters last year, and I don't know why they let go of Miley.
yeah, they like didn't pick up his option, right? Or didn't they like
You could
waive
put
him
him
or
on
something like that?
waivers or something.
Yeah, crazy. Going over the return in the Winker deal, Justin Dunn, if he cuts down on his walks, could be someone that's worth looking at. And then I think the guy's name is Brandon Williamson. Sure, very young. He won't be in the majors this year, but he's worth taking a look at.
Right.
Yeah, was in the Seattle franchise last year. Uh, between in 98 innings pitched, had 14 strikeouts per nine and 3 walks per nine. And he's 24 years old this year. Probably be in like single A, double A. I mean, he's definitely worth a look. He's reasonably exciting.
Yeah.
That's about that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Justin Dunn, as you mentioned, yeah, it's has a bit of a walk problem. I think his
Yes.
fastball is like particularly good, like at least in terms of velocity, unless I'm thinking of another guy. Justin Dunn on Savant, as I'm looking here. So I mean, there's potential there. I mean, he's already 26, so he's not necessarily young. Or yeah, maybe I was thinking of the wrong guy. His fastball averages 93.7. Yeah, I don't know. The Reds are just I guess just selling
Yeah. It's
after not really
pretty much
having
it.
much of a buy period. And Joey Votto's just stuck there.
That poor guy.
Poor guy after having a bit of a resurgence at age 37. Just yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
It's
do we
really
want to get
depressing.
into our players to
Yeah.
watch?
Is it my turn this time? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I am picking the same guy that I did last year for different reasons. This is not as much a reason to watch the Reds, but I guess it is, but it's a reason for other GMs to take a look. Tyler Mahle last
Yeah.
year, a 5.63 ERA at home, a 2.30 ERA on the road.
Wow.
Yeah. The only pitcher to have a lower road ERA in the majors was Corbin Burns. He had the second lowest ERA in the majors on the road. In major leagues. Yes. Mahle's 2021 was one of just 11 seasons since 1904 with 100 innings pitched and a 66 or lower TOPS plus on the road.
Wow.
That means only 10 other seasons were just as lopsided on the road with ERA, or I guess OPS plus against minimum 100 innings pitched. So if you are another GM, this is an elite pitcher that is in Cincinnati and suffering from being in Cincinnati.
Yeah, especially last year. Last year just seemed like obviously they didn't move ballpark dimensions, but it just seemed to kill pitchers and help batters a lot.
Like with what they've already done, I don't see any reason why they should keep this guy. Get
Yeah.
him somewhere else. You can probably use that to your advantage in getting a return. If you're a GM, this is a guy that can legitimately be an ace for you.
Right. Like, I'm trying to look for his age, or not his age, but how much control he has left. Yeah, he's only got 2 more years of control left. So yeah, like, it's not like it's not like there's much reason to hold on to him.
Exactly.
To be quite frank. Yeah. So yeah, like, yeah, GM should look out for that. I know it would be cool, yeah, if the Red Sox nabbed him.
Yeah, it'd be very cool. To be
pretty
honest,
cool.
I mean, with the return that they got for Winker and Suarez, it shouldn't take that much.
Yeah. All right. So my player to watch is a younger guy. Maybe the future of the Reds bullpen. Can't really tell though. Tony Santillan or Santillan had a 2.91 ERA and 11.6 strikeouts per nine in 43 and a third innings pitched. With runners in scoring position, he had an 0.95 average against and a 35% strikeout rate. I will acknowledge the average against, some of that was some BABIPery. He got a little lucky with runners in scoring position, but nonetheless, a 35% strikeout rate with runners in scoring position. He definitely amped it up when the time was necessary for him to amp it up.
Yep.
And yeah, like I mentioned, 24 could be, a good piece in the Reds bullpen for the future, maybe a potential closer down the road. Just, look out for him this year. Tony.
They also, the Reds have him as a long, the Fangraphs has him as a long reliever, so maybe you can get some innings starting as well.
Yeah, could go either way.
Tony Santillan.
Santillan.
Yes.
Tony Santillan.
Yeah.
So yeah, 11.6 strikeouts per nine, not bad.
What a pick.
Yeah, I don't know. Your question.
Do you have anything more to say? My question: who is a more productive year, Tyler Stevenson or Nick Senzel?
Tyler Stevenson or Nick Senzel. Is Stevenson a catcher?
Yes.
Okay.
They have him hitting cleanup right now, I believe. Yep, they do.
I could see, like, I'm not going based off of any facts, but I feel like this will be that season where, like, everyone else, there's like everyone else just kind of sucks, but there's one kind of shining guy, and maybe Nick Senzel will be that guy.
Okay.
Because there's no one else in that offense that's really going to stand out. Yeah, I'll just say Nick Senzel. Finally get some production. He's what, 25 now? 24?
26.
26.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could maybe take a step up. He's already got good defense. So yeah, I could see him making a jump offensively. So yeah, I'll just because he was a top prospect for a while. Was he like a number 2 overall pick at some point?
He was up there. I don't know the exact pick, but he was very much up there.
Yeah, so he was always on the radar. So yeah, he'll make a jump. Or he'll at least do better than Tyler Stevenson, I will predict. My question: will the Reds have more or less than a 24.5 point drop in team OPS this season?
What was their OPS last year?
I looked it up. It was 759. So
I'm gonna actually say no to that. I think there will be a substantial drop. I know that they are rid of the 2 best power hitters that they had. Maybe 2 of the best 3 if you want to say Votto was better than one of them.
Yeah.
But I still think Jonathan India could take a step up this year. They'll have Mike Moustakas for the full season. They just got Colin Moran.
Right.
I think there are some not at the exact level, but there are some replacements, and I do think maybe there's like a 16 to 20 point drop off.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Right.
Especially since they'll still be in that ballpark.
Right. Yeah. All right. So on to the Cardinals, who went 90-72 last year and finished second in the NL Central and got the second National League wild card spot. And
Is this the first team we're going over that underwent a managerial change?
I
don't think anyone did in the AL Central, and no one did in the NL Central.
Yeah, no.
My knowledge, let's see. Twins, no. Royals, no.
Yeah, they've got what?
Ollie Marmol.
Ollie Marmol. But yeah, they went 90-72, finished second in the NL Central, got the second NL wildcard spot, and lost to the Dodgers in the NL wildcard game on a Chris Taylor walk-off home run. The Cardinals lost Wang Young Kim, John Lester, Jay Happ, Matt Carpenter, Carlos Martinez, and Luis Garcia. A lot of them were like in the negative.
The average age of those people was 35 and a half.
Yeah, and a lot of them were in the negatives for wins above replacement. I put Matt Carpenter in the losses because
it's just for sentimental value.
Yeah,
and
they added Steven Matz, which was a nice pickup for them. I
believe they added Corey Dickerson as well.
Oh, okay. So they added Corey Dickerson.
They just did.
Okay, all right.
That one went under the radar. I'm only seeing it because I'm looking at their projected lineup here.
There we go. So my player to watch, I don't know. My player to watch, it's weird because I don't know if he gets underappreciated or overappreciated. And I could see him if he got overappreciated, me being particularly annoyed about it. If that makes sense. But he's a guy where Cardinals fans definitely love him. I don't know about the rest of the baseball world, but Tommy Edman.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So he did only have a 695 OPS last year, but he does have some interesting things about it. So he finished second in the NL in doubles last year with 41 and second in the NL in stolen bases with 30. So even though he wasn't killing it percentage wise, he was in the top, in some pretty significant categories. Along with that, he also led all major league second basemen in outs above average. And I believe that resulted in a gold glove for Tommy Edman. So, maybe he's not above average at the plate, but he gets some good, he's great base runner, great defender, and probably a little underrated in the baseball world, and someone who should be acknowledged with the Cardinals for sure. Who's your player to watch?
My player to watch is, this might be a hot take, but I think this is the best player on this team. And I think he gets very underappreciated, even though everyone knows that he's good. Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah.
He is one of 13 players in the last 50 years to have a season with 150 OPS plus, 15 stolen bases, and 10 WAR runs fielding. Which essentially just means fielding WAR. In a season before turning 26. He joins. Listen to this list that he joins. So the 12 other players that did in the last 50 years are Mike Schmidt, Ricky Henderson, Andre Dawson, Mike Greenwell, Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols, David Wright, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess how many MVPs that is between the 12 of them?
Oh man. Well, total in their career?
Yeah.
I'm too OCD where I wanna know. Mike Schmidt had 3, Mookie Betts has 1, Barry Bonds has 7, so that's 11. Cody Bellinger has 1, that's 12. I don't think Mike Greenwell had any. And then I don't know, there's some others that are sprinkled in the, I'm forgetting the names already. 16 MVPs.
Mike Schmidt had 3. Ricky Henderson had 1.
Okay.
Andre Dawson had 1. Skipping Mike Greenwell. Barry Bonds had 7. Ken Griffey Jr. had 1. Are you keeping track? Because I'm not.
Oh, well, okay. So Henderson 1.
Dawson 1, that's 5. Bonds, that's 12. Griffey, that's 13. A-Rod, that's
What?
16. I know the answer.
Okay.
Okay, A-Rod makes 16. Pujols makes 19. Trout makes 22. Mookie makes 23. Bellinger makes 24. 24 MVPs between those 12.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's where Tyler O'Neill was last season. So, long story short, this guy has MVP potential. I think when a lot of people think of the Cardinals offense, it's Goldschmidt, it's Arenado. Tyler O'Neill is right with them on offense, and he's right with he's probably above them as a whole, as a player. Outfielder, very good defense. He also has speed. He's a 5-tool player, if we're being completely honest here.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I have 2 questions regarding the Cardinals.
I have 2 questions. I wonder if one of them is the same.
Because there's a recurring question. I didn't even write the first one as I didn't write out the full question. I just put mandatory annual question.
Yes.
So will Paul Goldschmidt have over or under an 879.5 OPS in 2022?
Whoa, what was his OPS last year? Oh, 879. Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
What about the year before that?
Well, do I think they're going to win the division this year? I actually have not made a decision on that, so I think I might have to come back to you on that one because this answer is the same as do the Cardinals win the division?
Oh no, I only meant
for you
that
it is.
I only meant that for 2020 because last year I said under and I thought they were gonna win.
They're gonna win. Okay.
I think it's.
I'll give it an under.
Yeah.
And then what's your other question?
And then my other question is related to your player to watch. Tyler O'Neill was 7th in the NL in FWAR last season. Another reason to watch him. Will he stay in the top 10 this season?
Yes. You could even make the case that he's top 5.
Right. Makes sense.
You know what? I'll make that. That's a bold prediction. Tyler O'Neill, top 5. Position player F4 in the NL, right?
Top 5 in position player F4 in the NL.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right. On to your questions.
Yeah, so I have 2 questions. You already know the first one.
I'm saying I'm gonna say over. I think he's gonna flip-flop.
Okay.
He was over in 2020, under in 2021.
So can we should explain the context here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, because it was your thing.
So yeah, in 2020, in July, we were doing our 2021 prediction episode, and I predicted and I was saying we were previewing the NL Central for standings wise, and I was thinking, Paul Goldschmidt has to be an X factor of this Cardinals offense in order for the Cardinals to win this division in 2020. And I said, I think he's going to be an X factor for this offense. I think if he has over an 880 OPS in 2020, they're going to win the division. If he's under an 880 OPS for the year, they will not win the division. And lo and behold, in the final at bat, in the final at bat of the season, he's at 878. The Cardinals are not winning the division at this point. They were 4 games behind the Cubs in the 2020 NL Central race, and he's at 878. And I'm rooting very hard for him not to reach base, and he hits a hard hit long single over the right fielder's head off the wall for a single, and he gets over 880. Finishes the year with an 883 OPS. The Cardinals do not win the division. I am wrong. And so then last year, for fun, or since it was already kind of a meme with us, we both asked each other, over under 880 OPS. I think I said under, I think you said over. And he ended up right at 879. And we as a show have set the over under for his
Every single
OPS,
year.
maybe eternally. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know when it'll drop off, but it hasn't been in the past 2 years. He has been right at that mark for the past 2 years. And it's a quality mark for sure, but it's forever an ARR lure that
Yes, it is.
that we've just set his over under for OPS in 2020 and 2021, and we ask it annually. And then what's your other question?
My other question, Dylan Carlson, guy we haven't mentioned, top prospect coming up. He had a 117 OPS plus last year, and he had like a low sevens or like a high sevens OPS. So over under 130 OPS plus for Dylan Carlson this year.
This year, I'm gonna say under, because I was looking at him. I was looking at his stats for this episode. It was like 117 last year, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you said that. Yeah, I'll say under. I think it'll be around the same as it was last year.
Okay. So you're just going to stay
For
under.
Dylan Carlson. Young buck. I think he's heading into his age 24 season or something like that. All right. Last team of the day. The Milwaukee Brewers, they went 95-67 last year and won the National League Central before losing to the Braves in the National League Division Series in 4 games. They lost Avacil Garcia, Eduardo Escobar, Hunter Strickland, and then, some of these are minor. Brett Anderson, Manny Pena, John Curtis, Daniel Vogelbach, and Jackie Bradley Jr., but they added Hunter Renfroe and on a more minor scale, Rex Brothers. So
Rex Brothers.
Who do you have? Who are you looking at in 2022?
Yeah. While I'm saying, I need you to look at the tweet I just sent you. But I'm looking at Aaron Ashby. I need to check. Is there any relation to Andy? There has to be, right?
Maybe.
I've definitely looked before. Nephew of Andy Ashby. Okay, cool. Aaron Ashby. I think he was the top prospect in the Brewers system last year. And of the 1,785 pitches that produced at least 25 batted balls, Ashby's slider had the 16th lowest batting average against at 0.77 and the 5th lowest expected batting average against at 0.79. That slider does things. He got rocked in his first and last appearances of the year, and in between he pitched 30 innings and had a 1.78 ERA. This is a guy that can be another solid bullpen piece. And if they want to try him as a starter and see if he can be a 4th ace, they could try that. It's all up to how he performs, but either way, I think this is going to be a guy that produces really well for them this year, whether that be as a starter or as a reliever. Also worth noting that his launch angle last year was a flat 0, like not even a 0.1. It was literally just a 0.0. So he's a ground ball pitcher. The Brewers don't have the greatest infield defense, unfortunately. But that's what you want out of a guy, and that's what Aaron Ashby has been.
Yeah. A guy like outside of 2 very bad appearances to end the year, of an ERA below 2.
Also, did you mention that they added Andrew McCutchen?
Oh no, because
yeah,
I think I put that in the notes on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So yeah,
added
Andrew McCutchen as well, along with Hunter Renfroe and Rex Brothers. Yeah, forgot to mention that, but yeah, that's he's what, 35 now? 6.
35, yeah.
Yeah, he's he'll be interesting to see. had an interesting year last year, 778 OPS, but was able to play out the full year, 144 games, 27 homers, 24 doubles, and I think he still provides, or actually no. I was about to say provides quality defense. His D-WAR was negative
No,
1.3 last
no,
year.
it does not.
Yeah, not anymore.
He could be a DH. I think Fangraphs has him listed as a DH.
Yeah, that'll be good. For defensive help, Hunter Renfroe will be that guy. Although they did lose Jackie Bradley Jr., which, man, Heimblum.
What are we doing here?
Not saying it's a pattern of bad behavior, but that was just a weird one.
It's weird because we thought there would be a corresponding move to fill Hunter Renfroe's spot, and there has not been one.
Yeah, the Red Sox literally got a more expensive, worse outfielder.
Yeah.
And it didn't do anything, man. Not great. Anyway, my player to watch is a guy who I pointed out as a how about that, who's actually my final how about that of the year, I believe. Adrian Hauser, out of 105 pitchers with 50 plus innings pitched from July 23rd on, he had the fourth best ERA out of those 105 pitchers. In the span, out of 149 pitchers with 100 plus batted balls against them, Hauser had the lowest average exit velocity and the lowest hard hit rate against him. So he's the best at preventing hard contact out of 149 pitchers from July 23rd on. He's not a strikeout guy by any means, but he prevents hard contact and is a quality potential 4 or 5 starter in that Brewers rotation. So it doesn't just stop with Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta. There's some good guys behind them. All right, so now what is your Brewers question?
Which is more likely, a Christian Yelich resurgence or Hunter Renfroe leading the team in homers?
Good question. I have to think of Hunter Renfroe's competition, and Yelich is one of those guys. Hunter Renfroe, by the way, was essentially like a replacement for Avisail Garcia, who
It's not as good defensively, but better offensively, I'd say.
Garcia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Garcia's better at defense.
Maybe not as good at offense.
Yeah.
Renfroe's
a great arm, but his fielding isn't great.
They lost Garcia to
the Marlins.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his competition because there's Yelich. I'm hoping I'm not forgetting people, but yeah, I feel like a lot of their home run guys are not what they once were. Yeah, I think and what was the other possibility?
Christian Yelich resurgence. Yeah.
I think it's more likely that Renfroe is going to lead the team in home runs.
Okay.
Personally. All right. A lot of it probably because their lineup is not as power heavy as it once was, I think.
Yeah.
And Renfroe had over 30 home runs last year.
The only real competition I can think of is if he plays a whole season, Rowdy Tellez.
True. Yeah.
You know what? Fangraphs has him hitting 33 and no one else hitting more than 26. So
Renfroe?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he
But
hit
I also
31.
think a Yelich resurgence is to be expected.
True. Although we did expect it after 2020.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
He still got his walks in at least.
Yeah, he did. So my question includes one of my players to watch, or includes my player to watch. So Adrian Hauser had a 3.22 ERA last year. Eric Lauer had a 3.19. Who will have the lower ERA in that back of the rotation? Adrian Adrian Hauser or Eric Lauer?
That is an excellent question. Well, Lauer is. The funny thing
Lauer's
about
heading-
Lauer is like he does not if you just looked at his like archetype, he does not look like a 26-year-old at all. Like
Right.
he looks like he should be in the Cardinals rotation.
Yeah.
He's like I know he's like low velocity, like he's not high strikeouts. I mean, he is kind of high strikeouts. He's like just less than 1 per inning. And he doesn't walk anyone. I'm gonna say Lauer. Yeah, I'm gonna say Lauer because they have like similar strikeout rates. Actually, no. Eric Lauer's better at strikeouts per 9 and walks per 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he just has a longevity to go further into games.
And he's younger.
And he's younger. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Eric Lauer for that one for sure.
There we go, and that will wrap it up for this long
Yep.
3-hour episode. Probably the longest episode we've ever done.
I would imagine even longer than a history series episode, probably any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was a lot that happened, and we had a lot to preview for sure. So, and yeah, we haven't really sat down and talked to just each other in it since like the Hall of Fame episode
Yeah.
about 2 months ago.
Yep. We had ourselves a lockout.
Yeah.
Even though we were on like agreeing terms on literally everything. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Well, it was like, we've been busy with our own stuff, and
Yeah.
we were not inspired to talk about baseball, but
Mhm.
now we are. So I'm excited to be back into it.
Yes.
Gonna be doing
absolutely.
it at least once a week for sure.
I briefly saw Juan Soto at Nats camp
Yep.
for like
Yeah,
a
you
second.
did.
I saw Josh Bell. I actually said
Uh,
hi to him.
Right.
Did not get the chance to tell him to not hit ground balls anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's
But
tough.
that's coming. Saw who else? I saw D Gordon. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, D Gordon is a
D
guy
Strange
where
Gordon. I was like I saw him. I was like, oh, that's right. He signed with the Nationals.
Yeah.
Minor league deal. Yeah. Oh, you're getting a call.
Yeah,
Chris Gianto, a very important person.
my connections. I don't want to decline it because that seems rude, so I'm just gonna let it ring.
Okay.
Okay, it's over.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I saw David Martinez, Gerardo Parra, Andrew Stevenson. That was about it. But I saw Juan Soto, so that was really all I needed to see.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, you saw maybe any Tanner Rainey sighting? Tanner Rainey
Tanner Rainey sightings? I do not believe so. I think I named everyone that I saw.
What a bummer.
Aaron Bummer.
Here's my 2021 player to watch.
I know.
Complete flop.
He was good for like the last month of the season, but the other 5 were like, nah.
Right. All right, so that'll do it. That'll do it for this episode. I did not expect it to go this long, but
I didn't either.
it was good. I mean, I'd say it was pretty good all the way through.
It was quality for sure.
We got everything we wanted out, and made up for our lost time during the off season. But finally we're able to get it out. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Kris_Gianta, and follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. And yeah, also this one is on the YouTube channel. Go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. We also have some clips. We actually had a clip kind of hit the algorithm.
Yeah, we did.
Part of our Chris Rose interview. It almost has 1,000 views now, which is like
Hey.
on the Above Replacement Radio. That's like an ARR view plus of if we put it into like OPS plus terms, that's like 1 million. So
Yeah, that's like Fred Dunlap couldn't even imagine
Yeah. It's like, that's like a million OPS plus for our YouTube channel. So yeah, almost 1,000 views. That was pretty cool to watch. It just hit the algorithm at a random point. That video was posted 5 months ago. But good to see it gain traction.
It makes sense after the Ken Rosenthal firing.
Yeah. Probably
Because it kind of goes into what we said.
Yeah, a little bit of a correlation there. So yeah, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to that. We also have playlists for our baseball history series and Hall of Fame bubble cases if you're interested in that at this point of the year. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next week, where we will be previewing the AL East, or no, AL West, AL West and NL West. Yeah, we hope to see you then.
All right.
And pause.
This conversation is over.